What is up, everybody? Thanks for coming to hang out with the FantasyHolics to get all your coverage of the first round of the 2025 NFL Draft. Got one half of the Fatboyz here, the other half there, and then a very, very, very special man in Mr. Oviedo, Patrick. Patrick, happy to be on here with you instead of just having to talk to Brant, who's real slow, and instead of Brant having to talk to me, who's real slow. We got some beauty and brains with us this week.
Trying my best. I think it's my third year here. Look forward to it every year. Like to shoot the breeze while watching the draft, and if I come unglued, I'm not alone.
Well, okay, but the good news is the Indianapolis Colts will not be drafting Anthony Richardson this year, at the very least.
True. That is true.
Got to look at things as that glass half full, right? Falcons shouldn't draft Michael Penix this year either, although that's worked out a little bit, but can't happen again.
Yeah. This year it might be me getting a quarterback.
It could be. Seattle's one of those places. I think they're a dark horse. I don't think they're one of the favorites. So
right.
So all right, I've got some questions for you guys that, while we're kind of waiting. Obviously, Tennessee's officially on the clock in about 4 minutes, but we all know they've been on the clock for a while. It sounds like they've settled on Cam Ward. What is Cam Ward's fantasy impact going to be year one and then deep into the future? Obviously, the pass catching figures there kind of lackadaisical. Obviously, we saw them sign Tyler Lockett today. If you listen to Cam Ward, Treylon Burks is a top 4 wide receiver in the National Football League, and A.J. Brown's pretty good, but he's no Calvin Ridley. These are legit quotes that Cam Ward has said recently. So, with that being said, how are you guys feeling about Cam Ward and his early outlook in fantasy? Patrick, I'll start with you.
Oh man, it's gonna be Ridley's gonna have to stand on his head. It's gonna have to be like Calvin Ridley of 2017 or however long ago he was in the league with the Falcons. I think the Titans need at least one more receiver in the 3rd or 4th round. They need another playmaker, or Ridley's going to get double teamed night and day. It's like a receiver graveyard with Tyler Boyd, Tyler Lockett, whatever Treylon Burks might be. It's like Ward's in for a long year.
And I think that's kind of the destination Tennessee's become for a while. It's aging wide receivers that kind of go there. It started with, Randy Moss some years back. We saw Julio do it. It's just one of those things they grasp at, like fading, aging wide receivers. So we'll see how it works out. Brant, what are your thoughts on Cam year one?
I think he's going to be a top 12 quarterback in fantasy. I know the receiving weapons aren't the greatest there, but I think they're going to have to play from behind. He's going to have to throw a lot. He's got 2 good, I'm not going to say great pass catching backs there to get some yards out of the backfield. So I do think going to Tennessee, I do think he will be in legitimate contention to be a QB1 this year in fantasy.
Okay. All right. I think this year's quarterback class is a little lackluster. It reminds me an awful lot of the 2022 with Kenny Pickett, or 2021 with Kenny Pickett, Desmond Ridder, Malik Willis, where we as an NFL community kind of said, hey, there's going to be a bunch of quarterbacks taken in the first round. And then the NFL went opposite of status quo. Kenny Pickett was the only first-round quarterback taken, and the only one in that class that's been anything special at all was Brock Purdy, the last player drafted in the entire draft. I get similarities between the class. I don't think there's any super talented top-end quarterback here. I think Cam Ward definitely is the best of the best, but I'm not sure I like him better than some of the prospects in next year's class.
Yeah, absolutely. Next year's class is going to be shaping up to be one to pay attention to. And honestly, let's be honest. What was it last year? Was who came out last year? You had Caleb Williams, Jaden Daniels. Where would you put Cam Ward in last year's class?
Honestly, and I'm sure we all three agree on this, he's not in front of either of the two you just mentioned. Not sure I'd have him in front of Drake May. Not sure I'd maybe comparable to Bo Nix, maybe except for, I mean, there's no Calvin Ridley on the Broncos.
No,
I guess I mean, Bo Nix had a great year. He did, and I hope that continues. I'm not sure I expect it to. But yeah, I mean, we'll see. We'll see.
Ward's a better. I think Ward's going to be one of the worst situations imaginable.
Yeah, it doesn't get much worse than that.
Doesn't feel good. Like Nashville's a great place to party. It's not a great place to be a fantasy football quarterback.
It is a good place to party.
What are your thoughts though? Can Brian Callahan turn that around? I mean, we saw what he did with Joe Burrow in Cincinnati. Is it possible that, you know, maybe he is this great quarterback guru and you know, Cam Ward comes there and it's just, he lights the world on fire? Because honestly, again, this is a blasphemous comparison, but just for conversation's sake, I'm going to bring it up. Patrick Mahomes does a lot with very little sometimes too. I mean, we watched him make Marquez Valdez-Scantling look good. I mean, is it possible at all? Is there anything that you've seen with Cam Ward at all to this point that you're like, maybe he is good enough that it doesn't matter who is catching passes for him?
No, not at all. There's nothing there. He's very composed in the pocket. He's very relaxed. He is going to learn the game, and eventually will. I mean, it's probably going to come at him like a buzzsaw at the beginning, but it's going to slow down. He is very, very composed. As long as they get a line that he doesn't have to be rushed behind, I think he'll be fine. That's why I think that QB 12 area would be probably pretty good for him. His rushing upside isn't phenomenal, so he's not going to be putting up those numbers. And I don't see him scrambling out of the pocket, almost laying out flat to throw a pass to somebody like we've seen with Patrick Mahomes. So I don't think he has that type of skill set. I do think he'll be fine. I think he'll be a quality starter for the Titans for years to come. I just don't think we're going to talk about him being a top 5 quarterback in the NFL, fantasy or real life.
Okay. All right. So all right, we've got some guys getting excited in the chat here. It's only right we give some love here when this happens. John says, "Sup guys, let's go." Johns, we're ready. I think everybody in the fantasy community woke up this morning feeling pretty darn excited. 7:00 Central Time for us. I know 8 p.m. for Patrick there. Couldn't get here soon enough. Just feels like Christmas morning. Patrick, what have you been feeling leading up into this draft this year?
It's exciting with like no teams had made a trade. Every team owned their own first round pick, which made you think it's going to be trade crazy. There's the drama of Shadir second or third overall or second or third round. That's crazy to think of. Such a wide variety of outcomes between a player. Like I can't remember such a vast difference between a player like that.
Okay. Brant, I got a question for you here. I'm going to start this with you. How many running backs go in the first round today?
3.
3's your flag plant?
Yeah. Yep. Genty Hampton and Henderson will all go.
Okay. Patrick?
4.
4. Okay. Who do
it
you
feels like
think
there's a
sneaks
lot of teams that have Genty, Henderson, Judkins, Hampton.
Okay. All right. You think both wide receivers are?
That's running backs, sir.
Yeah, that's what I meant. Sorry.
Can't have you that sluggish already. Let's go. So
it feels like
a
lot of teams need a running back.
And if you look at some, and I know there's some truth to the thing that top 30 visits matter with teams, right? And if we look at the running back top 30 visits that some of these teams put out this year, there's a lot. I mean, the Steelers, I think, had something like 9 running backs in their top 30 visits, which is insane. The Steelers are adding a running back at some point in this draft. Obviously, I think 21's a little rich unless somebody slides to them and there's not something else they love. I mean, we don't even have a quarterback in Pittsburgh yet. A lot of people thought the Aaron Rodgers news was going to break this morning so he could try to take some shine away from the NFL draft. That didn't happen. But I do think the Steelers add a running back at some point.
There's still time. There's still time for Rodgers.
That's true. In typical Rodgers fashion, right as the first pick's announced.
I was going to say at pick 19 at the bottom of the screen, breaking news, 2 picks before the Steelers.
It's possible. It's possible. All right, so Patrick, I'll start with you on this one. How many wide receivers go in the first round?
Vegas has it 6.5. That feels like a lot.
It does feel like a lot.
5.
Okay.
5.
Brant?
No, 4.
I'm going
4.
I was going to say, I'm going maybe 3. Like, I feel like this is the year where we're going to see, Tet, and I think Tet and Burden will go, and I think the rest may end up slipping, but I'll plant on 3 because it always shocks us with somebody going later in the first. So I'll stay with 3 on that one too. I think unfortunately, you're going to see probably a lot of offensive line and defensive players going in this first round.
Okay, so okay, you said 3. You said you think Burden, Tet, Travis Hunter, Brant. Travis Hunter is going to be the first wide receiver off the board. They're talking number 2 to the Browns.
I still don't classify him as that because I don't know what he is.
The NFL circle, insiders in the NFL are coming out saying Cleveland Browns love him as a wide receiver. I think we've all seen that the market for paydays is bigger for wide receivers than that of cornerbacks. Then I think he's a wide receiver.
If we're going to count him as a wide out, I'll say 4 then. He's going to be the unicorn Travis Hunter is how they're going to announce the pick because the Taysom Hill version of wide receiver. I don't know. How do you announce him? Wide receiver / cornerback?
It sounds like he's demanding Roger Goodell announce him as both, is what I've heard the last 24 to 48 hours, that he is adamant both positions are announced. So I do think he's announced as wide receiver is going to be said with his name, so I expect that to count. So, all right. So what are we thinking on quarterbacks? I'll let you guys both just give a quick short answer. Just because I'm trying to do something here. I want to get somewhere. So Brant's saying 3. Patrick, how many quarterbacks are you saying?
Oh, in a world where Trey Lance, Zach Wilson, Anthony Richardson all get drafted way too high, 4. Ward, Dart, Milt, 4.
Okay, I like 4. There was some reports that again come out recently, depending on who you like in the NFL world. Everybody's an insider nowadays, but there's a lot of insiders that are saying NFL scouts are saying Jalen Milroe is the best running quarterback they've ever scouted ever over Lamar Jackson, over a lot of these guys. And if you have an NFL team that believes that
over Anthony Richardson, if you have an NFL team that believes that. And somebody wants that 5th year of control, I think it's possible. I like Milroe a lot. I really do. So, all right. And then last thing, tight ends. We know there's going to be 2 with Loveland and Warren. Is there a 3rd tight end that sneaks into the first round in you guys' mind? Is it possible?
No, I don't think so. I think those are going to be the weight position.
Okay. So, you guys have got 14 offensive players, if I just take the consensus between the 2 of you, going in the first round of the NFL draft. Now, if you think back to, what was it, 2 years ago, I think, we had the first 15 picks of the NFL draft before we saw defense. So we'll see if it's an opposite end of that. I've heard a lot of good things about offensive linemen and defensive linemen in this draft. So I'm interested to see if you guys hit your 14 line or not of total skill position players being drafted, which by it away, that's fantastic for fantasy, right? 14 offensive players in the first round would be great for fantasy. That means in the first couple picks of the second round, you're still getting a first round graded player, and that's not talking the second, third round running backs that gain steam and slip in there too. So definitely should be an exciting draft.
Offensive linemen are kind of fun too. I like a good offensive lineman pick. You get offensive linemen to a backfield that you need, and like, hell yeah, yes, that works.
That's
or
true.
A quarterback gets more time to pass, less sack. Give me an offensive lineman.
That is true.
That's pseudo fantasy.
That you're right. It definitely does make things a little more appealing. I mean, the Bears didn't add a single thing skill position wise this offseason. They added a bunch of offensive linemen, and I think it's got a lot of us excited about what could be there. So. Caleb Williams should have more time. Whatever running back ends up taking the lion's share of that backfield, no pun intended, should be just fantastic. So definitely some things to be excited about, with it when it comes to the offensive lineman for fantasy. So I guess let's talk about it. Patrick, I kind of already know where Brant stands on this. We already kind of talked about it a little bit in one of our weekly shows. What is Travis Hunter in the NFL, and what does the outlook look like for fantasy in your mind?
So when we were talking about him a second ago, I was going to say, if he goes to Cleveland, the AFC North is a hell of a lot tougher than Colorado State. It's going to be tougher. It's going to be I don't know if he's ready for it. I mean, Hunter played 22 games in college. I thought he'd played a lot more. I was looking back through his stats and stuff. 22 games in Colorado might not be a starter in the AFC North. Wondering how much does he get, like, both sides of the ball full time going forward? Does he get eased into either position? If he's really a Swiss Army knife, where does he acclimate to first?
Okay. All right. No surprise here. Obviously, the Cam Ward pick has officially been announced. I think there might have been some questions about this for a few weeks, but Cam Ward to the Tennessee Titans, it's official. So again, we got to go back. We got to recircle this. Who is the biggest winner if we don't love Cam Ward necessarily for fantasy due to the landing spot? Is there somebody there that wins with quarterback play?
In Tennessee, adding Cam Ward, I would say the running backs do. I know Will Levis has that awesome arm that he always wanted to, air the ball out so much. I could see Cam Ward dumping it off a lot more to those running backs. So I would say Pollard and Spears are definitely in for an upgrade this year.
Okay.
Patrick? My winner is the wide receiver that gets taken later this draft to Tennessee or the Titans.
Yeah, there's been some rumblings that if Luther Burden slides into the second, you could see Tennessee jump at him to pair with Cam Ward, and I would instantly enjoy that for both of Cam Ward and Luther Burden. Luther Burden would come in and I'd have to assume targets somewhere similar to what Malik Neighbors had year one, because Calvin Ridley's been cool. I mean, that's definitely a good deal, but I just, like you guys said, I'm not in love with any of the skill players in Tennessee. Now obviously it's early in this draft. They could trade back into the first. They have some ammunition to do some things. So we'll see what happens. I certainly do not view Treylon Burks as a top 4 wide receiver in the entire National Football League like Cam Ward does. So for his sake, I hope he gets some weapons. All right. So the Cleveland Browns are on the board. Are we all three consensus here? We think this is Travis Hunter?
So this just came across my Adam Schefter tweet 25 seconds ago. The Browns are trading the number 2 pick to the Jags. That was Adam Schefter, ESPN sources. It just popped up as a notification, and I opened it right as you were saying that. I don't know how true it is. We're all sitting here waiting. So I would say Hunter would have been the guy. Yes.
Is he not still the guy?
Are they trading up to make sure they get Genty?
That's an awful lot for a running back. I don't know. That's interesting.
I agree. I'm real curious to see if this is true. I mean, that would be phenomenal for the Jags. Adding, you get help me out here, drawing a blank already. The new wide receiver they just had last year,
Ryan Thomas Jr.
Yeah, Thomas Jr. It is traded. It just was announced on ESPN.
Yeah, it's official.
Yeah. Wow. I didn't think we'd see a trade this
Wow.
early. So yeah, I would say. So it's Browns are trading a second, a fourth, and a sixth to the Jags for the number 5, a second round, and a fourth round, and their 2026 first. So two first, a second, and a fourth to move up to the 2 spot.
So, I mean, it's obviously they're trading up for somebody they believe is a
This might be
franchise level player. I Abdul Carter, I do, but there's so many holes on both sides of the ball for the Jaguars. They've got to have somebody here that they think is a transitional type player moving on. I think I want to call my shot. I think it's going to be Travis Hunter. Give Trevor Lawrence 2 really good weapons. BTJ already there. Travis wouldn't have to play full time on offense. We'll see what it looks like though.
Mm-hmm. Wow, I was not expecting a trade this early. I was gonna say four trades in the first round. I just didn't expect that.
Those teams stayed put for so long.
So long.
And then we're about 10 minutes in. Trade.
They waited until they were, a minute into their clock to go ahead and announce a trade. It's probably been agreed upon for a little while, if I had to guess, or at least close in principle. Because I mean, Jordan Schultz is a guy that I follow a lot. He's one of my favorite insiders. He has said that he thought the Browns would do it, and they've been getting a lot of calls and a lot of conversations. So, it's clear they've been close.
Absolutely. I think I do think Jacksonville's adding to their defense. So is this the Browns saying they think that their guy is going to be sitting there at 5?
That's interesting.
Yeah, I mean, it's possible, right? Maybe they think there's a chance that they move back and, hey, maybe we don't feel as bad about taking a Shedeur or a Jackson Dart at 5 as we do 2. That could be interesting.
For what it's worth, they still owe Watson all that money. And they have Kenny Pickett, and they have Joe Flacco. And they obviously could go quarterback, but it feels like I would have taken Abdul Carter in a heartbeat to pair him with Myles Garrett.
That would have been you talk about the NFC North being tough. Imagine that 2-headed monster coming at you at full steam.
Well, Patrick, maybe they heard you. They said that was going to be too much for Travis Hunter. Let's go ahead and let him go somewhere where he'll be able to make an impact. Says the pick is in. I think it's Hunter or Carter. I do think it's Hunter, honestly.
Let's see.
There's some hugs in Duval. If you're not hugging on the second overall pick that you traded up for, something's wrong.
Yeah, they're better
question-
be hugging.
The question is their fans hugging? How would you, as a Jacksonville fan, you gave away your pick next year? I don't know.
To move up 3 spots.
Travis Hunter to the Jacksonville Jaguars. All right, so again, I don't think Jacksonville mortgages the future for a cornerback. I don't think you trade a first-round pick next year. You traded all of Trevor Lawrence's weapons outside of BTJ. Kirk's gone. Evan Ingram's gone.
So wide out.
I think this is huge for Travis Hunter. I think it's big for Trevor Lawrence. And Brant, it's big for you too. You were talking about before the show, you couldn't afford Ginty to end up in Jacksonville. So sigh of relief, I think.
Absolutely, it is
big for fans. So, okay, so the question is, we were all worried about Travis Hunter. We all thought he was a Cleveland Brown potentially, but the fantasy impact of Joe Flacco, like, how do we feel about Travis Hunter now knowing who he's going to be catching passes from?
I love it because I do. I think he's going to be a wide receiver majority of the time, and I think he'll be secondary in the, for special packages on defense. Going to Jacksonville, like you said, they got rid of all of Trevor's weapons. This is phenomenal for him because you can no longer double team Brian Thomas. You have to respect how good of a route runner and how good of a receiver Travis Hunter can be and has been. So I think this is huge for both of them. I think it's big for Trevor Lawrence. It's going to open up some running lanes for probably Tank Bigsby because I do own ETN, so it's probably going to be Tank.
Yeah, that's how that goes. Again, Jordan Schultz reported trades are just starting. ... Interesting.
Nice.
All right,
I know they were talking about.
We've had one. I'm going to give you your freebie, Brant. You said 4. Are you sticking to 4 trades in the first?
I am sticking to 4. I was going to ask it if that prior to the draft starting, but we were going through all the positions. And I do. I think it's 4 in the first round. And I'm not counting the one that happened before.
Patrick?
I might have to upload maybe 6.
Okay. Well, I'm going to take the easy way out, and I'm going to split the difference and go with 5 just to be
there you go.
Non-confrontational here. I don't have to agree with either one of you.
That's fine. You never agree with me.
All right, so from a fantasy standpoint, we have the Giants on the clock as long as they don't trade their pick. What do we want to see here? Going into the season as the guy, or are we thinking there's a chance it's a quarterback? What are we thinking?
They added Russ. They added Winston. I think, man, their defense at times looked like it could be legit at times last year. That did have its flashes. You had a guy like Carter on the end, and you could really bolster that defense, but they have so many needs on that offensive side. I think it's got to be Carter in my mind. Or do they try to protect these old fellas?
Man, Carter should be the pick here.
Mm-hmm.
I almost wonder if the Giants say, "Hey, we've got some glaring needs. Let somebody come up and give us a package similar to what Cleveland got for Hunter. Let somebody else come get Abdul Carter."
Or they atone for the Saquon Barkley mistake and take Ginty at 3.
Could you imagine the slap in the face to Saquon Barkley if they did that? I can't say I hate it, but could you imagine?
I don't want Ginty in New York. Man.
New York's more fun than Jacksonville, though, I promise you. No nightlife there.
Oh, he'll get to meet Sierra, right? He'll get to meet Sierra as soon as he gets off the plane in New York.
But Jacksonville's got beaches and warm weather. They don't have that in New York either.
Travis has to be ecstatic. You go from the chance of going to Cleveland where it's cold and miserable most of the time in the winter to you're in Jacksonville?
Man, cornerback Travis Hunter is going to be getting interceptions from Anthony Richardson and Cam Ward 4 games a year. 4 times a year.
Yeah, that is
Pick
one way to look at it.
Pick six, 4 pick sixes. Lock it in.
So just now, let me ask something while we got the Giants on the clock. You and me talked about this a little bit, Finley. Patrick, what do you think? Does this change the fantasy landscape where everybody's going to have to put defensive points into their scoring now because of a guy like this that plays both sides of the ball? I know your IDP leagues already have it. So this guy is probably a number 1 pick in most IDP fantasy leagues. Do leagues start to pivot like this? Do we see more players like this coming?
We've seen a couple. We've seen Dion. It's so rare. I think you just have to either become a IDP league or just accept you're not going to get those points. There's, the wide receiver passing touchdown doesn't always get the passing yards and the passing touch. It might be like that where you got to adapt or just leave those points on the table.
Yeah, and I think what it does potentially is I think you'll see a lot of platforms not want to make the decision. I think you'll have a lot of commissioners that have to deal with that in a fantasy football standpoint, because if I spend an early pick on Travis Hunter and he gets a pick 6, I'm going to want those points. Now, as a commissioner of a few leagues, I don't know how I feel about Travis Hunter getting a pick 6 and getting points.
It sounds like, can I use Taysom Hill in my QB slot, even though he's a tight end and he was a running back and he was also feels a lot like that.
Yeah, it does.
He's the super flex of super flex.
Shefty just tweeted out, Jaguars are expected to play first-round pick on offense and defense by giving him a heavy dose of the wide receiver player while still playing him as his more natural position on defense.
Giants have selected Abdul Carter.
Man, that is an anchor on a defense that, like I said, showed flashes. This is a great anchor, a great guy to get after the pass rush or to get after the quarterback. That's a good pick for them. I like that pick. I hate to say it, but I do like it.
Yeah, I mean, hey, if you're going to be bad on offense, which they're going to be bad on offense, go be great on defense, right? The thing that bothers me a little bit here is Kayvon Thibodeau was highly sought after, hasn't been great there. There's been a lot of guys that they've taken. They do have Brian Burns. They have Kayvon Thibodeau. I'm not sure exactly. I think Abdul Carter is good enough that he'll fit, but it doesn't make a lot of sense from the standpoint that they have those 2 players already. Mm-hmm. So I'm interested to see how the 3 of those guys split time on the field.
Definitely interesting. Man, so what is it? You got Wan'Dale Robinson, Malik Neighbors, and
Jalen Hyatt.
Hyatt's still there, and then what? A handful of different running backs in the backfield there.
Yeah, I mean, Tracy's got to be the guy moving forward, I would say.
It's full time.
Nick Chubb's still a free agent.
Oh,
you already added 2 old quarterbacks. Go ahead and add yourself an older running back too.
J.K. Dobbins is still a free agent. I'd take Dobbins and Chubb, even though I don't like Dobbins at all. But
I wish I would have felt that way when I took him in almost every single league. I was a Dobbins believer. I was.
Until the injuries.
Yeah.
Brant's still holding out hope. Brant's a sentimental guy. He kept Kenny Galladay on his roster for a few years.
Listen, in our startup league, I took Kenny Galladay in the 4th round or whatever because he was coming off that high 3rd round, coming off that high good season there in Detroit, and then became the number 1 there. And I was like, "Yep, I got myself a wide receiver 1." And I think it was this year I finally dropped him. Maybe last
year. You had him gone last year. But yes, I mean, you're a sentimental guy.
I dropped him literally 2 days before he caught his first touchdown in New York, I think.
Travis Hunter, they're interviewing him on ESPN. He said he talked to both offensive and defensive coordinators while on the phone. They were telling him they were drafting him. So there you go. Jacksonville definitely does believe in him on both sides of the ball. So definitely interesting. Again, I think this really makes things interesting for us as a fantasy community, because it's like, all right, if I'm sitting in, say, the pick 104 in a single quarterback league, and let's go ahead and call a spade and say we think there's 3 running backs drafted in the first round. And so 101 is Genty, 102 is Hampton, 103 is Henderson, maybe McMillan over Henderson. And you're sitting at the 104, and it's like, I've got to pull Travis Hunter here, but are you scared doing that knowing he may not play full-time on offense?
I mean, in your rookie draft, I would be scared that early to pull a guy like Travis Hunter because of that. And a lot of fantasy drafts are coming up right after the next 3 days. So Sunday or Monday, they're probably kicking off. He would scare me a little bit. For the ones that wait, you get to see kind of where he's being played during, rookie camp and everything else. I still think I probably would pull him at the 4. It would scare the crap out of me, but I still think I'd pull him.
The Jaguars got rid of Christian Kirk and Evan Ingram. There's a lot of targets. There's a buttload of vacated targets there. If he can hydrate, because it's hot as hell in Jacksonville, it's a lot warmer than it is in Colorado. If he can hydrate, stay on the field, he could get like 75 targets. Like, yeah. Get a lot. There's a lot there, unless they.
The question for me is this: one of the metrics we look at for fantasy when we talk about wide receivers, it's their target share, it's their targets per route run, right? If Travis Hunter ends up being a guy that plays 40 snaps offensively, or we'll even go lower. Let's say he plays 25 snaps offensively a game. The rest is defense. But he's getting targeted on 7 or 8 of those plays. His target share per route run is going to be one of the highest we've ever seen in the National Football League. Is that not still something that would be enticing to fantasy owners? Looks like the Patriots pick is in. It is indeed Will Campbell, offensive tackle. So Drake May getting his cornerstone, his left tackle is blind, side protected. Still doesn't have anybody to throw the ball to, but
yeah, still nobody to throw the ball to. But I mean, and this tells you now they are probably going to stick with what Stevenson in the backfield for right now. Maybe later in the draft they add somebody else, but. I mean, you got a good guy up front to block for you on that blind side. Good tackle. So yeah, I think this is exactly where they need to start addressing everything. Get that offense going. The Patriots defense always seems to do well. So it's definitely going to be interesting to see. I do think this is a very good fit for him, though.
Okay. What is this, Patrick? What does this make? Or your thoughts on this of the Mike Vrabel era in New England, starting off with a stud offensive tackle and Will Campbell? What are your thoughts on that?
They got a long way to go. They might be worse than the Titans. I mean, Bill didn't draft very well in the end of his tenure. Jared Mayo was like a lame duck coach. Feel bad for him. That team sucked. They still don't have a whole heck of a lot. It feels like any talent that they did have, they drafted Jalen Polk high. They got Demario Douglas is pretty good. Was it mismanaged? Are they just the team that kind of everything they touch turns to trash? Like, I think the Patriots are at least 2 years away from anything. No matter, Vrabel's got his work cut out for him.
Okay. All right, somebody in our FantasyHolics chat said this just now, and I feel like it's worth bringing up. Do the Browns just take that trade from 2 to 5, move back, acquire assets to replace Nick Chubb with Aston Genty?
Wow.
Pete Carroll is blowing up the Browns phone right now. Like, they've wanted Genty for months, and the Raiders are like, please, please. And if the Browns take them, if the Browns get Genty right ahead of Pete Carroll, Pete Carroll might quit on this one.
I mean, you know he's going to be a horse there. You know Cleveland loves the workhorse running back. They loved using Chubb in both aspects of the ball, catching and running. So yeah, this definitely could be a huge. I wasn't even thinking about Genty to the Browns because I guess the Browns really don't have anybody in their backfield right now.
Genty might be like 112 in redraft if he goes to the Browns. That wouldn't, like in redraft leagues, a first round pick. I could see people doing that. Jerome Ford looked serviceable.
Yeah.
I think Genty's 25 tiers higher than Jerome Ford.
We do got to give a shout out, though, since both of us do kind of like that idea, or all three of us kind of like that idea. It was Derek that said this. So we got to give Derek some love on air. Put his name out there. He's the one who come out and said it. So
phenomenal.
It would definitely be juicy for fantasy. And it honestly, he wouldn't really be stepping on anybody's toes. It's not like Cleveland's got some back that we're all salivating over next year.
Right. It'd be a good fit. I was putting Cleveland to go after more of a power workhorse back than Genty, but Genty would. I mean, almost any running back you put in the Cleveland system right now has produced fantasy wise. So this would be phenomenal. This would almost, in my mind, if he goes to Cleveland, I think it would solidify. I know a lot of people have already had it solidified, but I think he would be the one guaranteed the 101 in your rookie drafts.
Yeah. I mean, I think if he goes to Cleveland and things stand the way they do, if they don't get a quarterback, whether, Will Levis is available to them or Kirk Cousins or whatever the other rumors may be, if they genuinely go into the start of the season next year with Deshaun Watson and Joe Flacco, you're talking 225 plus carries for Genty next year. If he gets,
it is not Genty.
It's not. You're right.
Mason Graham, defensive tackle.
Wow.
Okay.
All right, Pete. Pete, you got your guy, Pete.
The Raiders will be picking in 4 seconds. That card is in.
Let me go ahead and start sending out my trades here because I know how Pete loves to use running backs. Now I got to somehow acquire.
I think it is interesting to say, though, not to make light of this pick, you're getting the best defensive tackle in the game. Mm-hmm. That's still going to free up Myles Garrett because you're going to have to double team one of the two of them.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's probably going to be Myles Garrett early, but I think Mason Graham wrecks some havoc. And I think this ends up being really good for that defense.
Yeah, that's going to be they're going to be one of the defenses because regardless if they're getting in there and getting on the quarterback, they're going to cause some pressure. They're going to cause some arrogant throws. This could be a defense you're talking as possibly one of the best defenses to draft in fantasy this year.
All right, so any chance at all here that the Raiders up at 6 that we potentially see Sanders here? Is there any chance?
No, I don't. I think the Raiders are going to wait on the QB spot. They just because I don't know if they want to draft a quarterback with Pete there, knowing that he may not be the long-term coach there with his age and everything else. So,
do you as an NFL GM, do you sign a coach thinking you're only going to have him for 2 years? I mean, I would assume as a GM, you're hoping to hitch your start of that wagon for several seasons. So I agree. Pete Carroll is old. But do the Raiders know that? Do the Raiders think, hey, we've got this guy, we're going to try to, make something in the next 5 years? And potentially see what happens.
Maybe. I don't know. I just don't know if he has that many years left.
The Raiders they're always kind of delusional. They're still let's win, baby. Mark Davis probably thinks they have a shot to win the division. They're hammered down. They probably they haven't thought about next year at all. It's like now.
All right, boys. So we got a long night still ahead of us. We're 5 picks in, all night left to go. We've seen.
I don't want it to end.
We've seen the one. Listen, the NFL draft coming and going is a sad deal. You're right. It is that feeling of waiting for your team to make a pick, of seeing where some of these fantasy guys go. It is exciting, but getting through the NFL draft just means that we're that much closer back to fantasy football again.
The drafts, the fantasy football drafts are going to be firing up. Mock drafts are going to be firing up right after, as early as Sunday. It's that time of year for the dynasty people. It's really it's crunch time almost. Excuse me, it's crunch time almost for those dynasty people. Because your draft is probably right here, and unfortunately, a lot of leagues do the draft right after the NFL draft, so you get like everything all in one, and then you got some downtime to wait.
Okay.
But yeah, I do. I really think this is the time. The draft, 3 days long it's a long 3 days, but it's worth it. It means it's coming. Mini camps are firing up. The new players, new coaches get a report. I think it's fairly quickly after the draft. I think it might actually be, first week of May. I'm not sure 100% on that time frame, but it's time to start. It's time to start looking and seeing what some of these teams are putting in.
I believe some of the new coaching staffs have already been allowed to get into the weight rooms and things of that nature. So I think we're already there for some of the first-year head coaches. I want to ask this, too, while we're waiting on the Raiders pick. Again, consensus says this is probably Ginty. If it's not, I think we're all a little surprised potentially. But right now, the only skill position or the only fantasy-relevant player, I guess, in a one-quarterback league that we've seen is Travis Hunter. Where do guys like Tet McMillan need to go? Where do guys like Omarion Hampton have to go in order for you to want to draft them over Travis Hunter in Jacksonville?
Cleveland would be a great spot for Hampton to go. I'm looking at this ticker down here. Dallas could highly consider me for Hampton. Man, I'm trying to figure out where I'd want Ted. Everybody,
San Francisco 49ers. If Tet goes to San Francisco, I'd probably take Tet over Hunter.
Okay. What happens if Kansas City? Well, Kansas City probably isn't the spot to do it. What if the Bills end up adding, an Emeka Ibuka slides, or they come up and get like a Jaden Higgins or Jalen Noel? Is there a world in one of those guys gets all the way in front of Travis Hunter if it happens?
No, I don't think there is. I don't think there is. The Bills is a phenomenal landing spot. But I don't think those guys would move that needle.
Pick is in, boys.
Ginty
to the Raiders.
Well,
Ginty
there goes my
Raiders.
There goes my scatterbow dreams.
So, what is where do we rank Ash and Ginty in running back rankings right now? Obviously, the argument could be made for Barkley, for Bijan, for Gibbs, for McCaffrey. Where do you guys put Ginty right now in your top 10, whatever? Does he make top 5 for you? Where's Ginty?
In redrafts, I think you got Barkley. I think you got Bijan, probably Gibbs. I think you'd have to highly, highly consider putting him probably in that 7 to 10 range.
Yeah.
the upside is just there. I mean, there's not a whole lot to love there outside of Bowers. So I think you have to, and Pete's track record. He loves to run the ball. He wants to run the ball. He pounds the ball. And we've seen Genty be able to take a huge workload and see what he can do with it. I think you have to consider him in the top 7 running backs. Or I'm sorry, 7 to 10 range, not top 7, 7 to 10 range.
Okay, so devil's advocate, okay? Ashton Genty with Pete Carroll, with the Las Vegas Raiders, or CMC? Which one do you take right now? Gun to your head, Patrick. Who do you take?
Genty.
Okay, I agree. 2 out of 3 there, Patrick or Brant.
In a redraft, I'm taking CMC. I think
coming off the injuries, he's been beat up the last 2 years. We don't know what we're getting in CMC anymore.
Yeah, I still think I take CMC.
Okay,
I feel like when he's on the field, as long as everything comes back clear and he's on the field, when you do that draft, I think he's still the guy. And they got rid of Debo, so I think there's more work for him as well.
Okay, so do any of the 3 of us? I don't want to waste too much time. Any of the 3 of us think Genty leapfrogs Bijan at this point?
No, I think that 7 to 10 range is pretty solid.
Okay.
But looking at the rankings, he can't be lower than 12 because it feels like there's this huge drop of older players, injured players, like bell cows. He can't be lower than 12 in redraft, like day 1.
I'm almost thinking in redraft, I have him probably close to 5 for me. I just outside of Bowers, okay, Bowers is cool. Outside of Bowers, we have no idea what else is going to be relevant in that offense. I think Pete Carroll's going to use and abuse. Genty may not have a super long career, but I think year 1, you could see him be a top 5 running back pretty easily.
Absolutely. I think you're going to see 250 plus touches for Genty this year. This could be a guy, and I'm going to say this guy's upside. I mean, this guy's upside, you could be competing and talking. This could be the RB1 by the end of the year with how much abuse that Pete might give him.
I agree. I really do.
Hope they invest in some offensive line the rest of the weekend.
Mm-hmm.
That'd be nice, right? Max Crosby's on the other side of the ball going, I'd like some help too, though. So
right.
This again, I will say this too, for what it's worth. I think, the community as a whole does a really good job trying to get us hyped for these drafts the closer we get, right? But I do think it's imperative to say I think this class is very, very deep with interior offensive linemen and defensive linemen in general. I think you're going to see some defensive guys drafted in the 3rd, 4th round that make impacts year 1, more so than we have in years past, as far as getting sacks, whether it be defensive tackles making plays. And I think the same can be said of offensive linemen. I think you're going to see some offensive linemen go late 2nd, early 3rd that are starting on day 1 of the upcoming season. I just think it's a very deep class.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So the Jets are on the clock here. Where do you see the Jets going right here?
Under a rock. I don't know. I can't get excited about anything. I mean, there's rumors that they were trying to trade Breece Hall coming into the draft weekend for as low as a 4th round pick. Garrett Wilson wanted out for a minute, and then he's kind of settled down, obviously. I think Justin Fields is going to be exciting. from a fantasy standpoint, I think the Raiders are probably, pretty easily the worst team in the AFC East. I think the Jets finish with the Patriots finish with a better record than them. So yeah, I mean, it feels dirty to say that, Brant, because just a few years ago on the pod, you and I were pretty adamantly saying Jets to the moon with Aaron Rodgers, and that plane, crashed into the Hudson River. It just didn't ever get going for us, and it's tough. It's tough.
Yeah, I see them with them pushing. I mean, it'd be.
Well, they've made their pick.
Yeah, I love this pick. I love this guy.
Missouri Tiger guy I watched a lot this year. I know this is a guy you were like somewhat hopeful for a minute he was going to slide to your Seahawks, Brant, but obviously that did not happen. Armand Mbuo for the Missouri Tigers goes to the Jets here. That's got to be, if you're Aaron Rodgers sitting at home watching this draft right now, like if he has the TV on in his darkness retreat cabin, he's got to be pissed going, where the hell was this the last 2 years, right? Because that offensive line was terrible in New York.
Yeah. And this is great. This is a great pick. This guy is quick. He's great to pull. He's a great pulling tackle. This guy could end up being a lead blocker for some of scramble plays, or not scramble plays, designed up runs for Fields and everything else. This is a phenomenal pick for the Jets. This is one place they did need to fill, and I like this pick. Man, before the combine, this guy was right around that 18 spot, and I was loving him watching his film. Then the combine showed up, and I knew he wasn't coming as much as I would love to see us come up and go get him. This is a guy that I was really excited for.
Okay, Carolina's on the board. Is this where we officially start the Tet McMillan watch, if you will? Is this like the range of outcomes for him? It starts at Carolina, and then it kind of goes probably somewhere into, I mean, at worst, do we think he makes it outside of the top 20? I don't think he probably does. So are we on Tet watch? You boys both think that's where we're at right now?
Yeah, I do. I think you're definitely on Tet watch here. I don't know if Carolina's the right spot. They were doing so well down the stretch. They may want to add a little more offensive help, or maybe help on that defensive side. But I definitely do. I think it's Tet. I think they could go Tet. I do think they go O-line, but it's definitely where we start watching.
Okay. All right. Patrick, how about we've had you being a little quiet here for a minute. I can't have that. Your Colts are getting close. I think you're the what 11, give or take, 12, somewhere in that, or no, 14. You guys are right before the Falcons, aren't you? I think we lost audio from you, Patrick. I can't hear you.
Yeah, I can't hear you either, Pat.
No, still no sound coming from you there, Patrick. When you get that mic fixed, we're going to come back to that. So, Brant, now that your favorite players for your Seahawks that you were like pipe dreaming that he slid, now that he's gone, do you still want them to take an offensive tackle or offensive lineman, or?
I still like the guy out of North Dakota State. I do like him. I want us to go O-line. I want us to go O-line. I'm gonna pound it. If it's not, please give me some pass rusher help. I don't want this receiver class is too versatile that I don't think we need to go this early for a wideout. So I hope it is an interior offensive lineman.
Okay. Am I back?
All right, Patrick. Yep. Do we have you back? We have you back. All right. So tell me, how are you feeling with your Indianapolis Colts?
Wouldn't mind if they trade back right here. They need a lot. Defense Always need defense. Win in the trenches. Offensive line's decent. Yeah, in a division that now has Stroud, Lawrence, and Cam Ward, secondary needs to be strong. Pass rush. Win in the trenches.
Okay.
Or trade back.
So you're not interested in kind of the consensus pick coming down to the weekend in Tyler Warren.
If we had a better quarterback, I'd love Tyler Warren. Just not feeling it with Richardson.
Okay. All right.
A team might be very eager to trade up to get Warren if Warren should still be there at 14, and that haul could be pretty significant.
I think you're right. And again, none of our numbers look real great right now when it comes to the trade market. We're sitting stagnant here for a few picks. I do think the back half of the first is where those trades come in. Predominantly teams looking to get that one extra year of control for a player they really like, but I'd like to see one here, and one more in the top 10 would be sweet.
The next one I think is you might be considering the Saints to be trading back because if they want Jackson Dart, what are the odds that they could trade back as long as they don't go below 20, 21 and still be able to get Dart? So I think you could see the Saints move. I know Dart is number 3 on a lot of people's boards, on number 2 or 3 on most people's boards. So I could see the Saints trying to make a move here.
Okay.
And I don't think Warren gets past number 10 with Chicago.
To the Bears would be nice.
That would be an interesting fit. I'd like to see some more fantasy relevancy happening here sometime.
Yeah.
Could the Jets potentially take tight end? I feel like it's probably a reach for them if they do, but it feels like something that's in the realm of possibilities potentially. What do you guys think about Warren here to the Jets?
Jets have already picked. You mean the Panthers?
Oh, excuse me, Panthers. Sorry.
Yeah. I knew
Which
what you
doesn't
meant.
matter. Panthers pick is in. Ted McMillan watch is officially over.
Wow. Okay. Okay. I like this. You and me talked about how much Bryce Young came on late. So I do like this. You add a nice weapon. You allow Xavier Legette to be the number 2 guy, and you don't have to force him to be 1. You still got Thielen, I think, is still in town running in the slot for a year or 5 more, however long that man has. I like this pick. You're boasting your offense. I think the Panthers are going to focus on the defensive side of the ball for the rest of this draft.
Okay. Patrick, the Carolina landing spot. Where do you rank Tet and Travis Hunter now that we've seen both their landing spots?
Good, not great. I'd prefer Hunter. I like Lawrence and the Jaguars offense better than the Panthers, but yeah, Bryce looked like a completely different guy after the benching. He looked very solid. Panthers have Legette. Jalen Coker looked solid. They've got McMillan. Thielen's not done yet. They've got a hell of a backfield. They've got Chubb Hubb and Rico Dowdle. Could they finish second in the division?
I think the NFC South is such a crapshoot that I think they could win the division, Patrick. I really do. I don't think Tampa Bay is going to be as good as they have been the last couple of years. I think defensively they'll take a step back. I do. I think this is a wide open division. The one team I don't think has a chance to win it is the New Orleans Saints. I think you have 3 teams and it's going to depend on how Carolina plays Atlanta, how Carolina plays Tampa, and vice versa. Between the in-division matchups are going to win this division. because I think these teams are all so equal. They'll just beat up on each other, and whoever happens to get 4 wins out of that group wins.
Yeah, the Panthers are going to be interesting. They're young. They're starting to build that offense. Their defense was mediocre at best last year. This is that your division is just crazy.
I'm watching. I can't usually stand watching Roger Goodell make the picks, so I've got Bleacher Report's live coverage of the draft on. It's got Micah Parsons on there, and his reaction to Carolina taking Tet McMillan may be one of the greatest. He is mad. He's dropping F-bombs. He's punching pillows. Definitely disappointed in his Cowboys, to say the least.
The rise of the Panthers might need to be studied. Like week 4 of last year, they looked like crap. They had Deontay Johnson quitting. Bryce Young looked like a complete bust. Jonathan Brooks may never be a thing. And now Bryce has turned it around. They've got 2 first-round receivers, 2-star running back, 2 solid, above-average running backs. They could be fun to watch, thankfully, on Sunday afternoon. More fun than it had been.
As a Falcons fan, I'll tell you, I'm intimidated by the Panthers for the first time in a few years. I do think the way Bryce Young played down the stretch, obviously torching my Atlanta Falcons, and then adding a bona fide stud, just wide receiver 1 and Tet McMillan. Definitely, I think it makes Bryce Young even more fantasy relevant than he was down the stretch, which he was. Down the stretch, he was definitely relevant, and I think now you have a bona fide weapon for him. I think it's just takes the next step.
Bryce Young or Cam Ward?
Bryce Young. Bryce Young.
Bryce Young.
Just checking.
And Pat, that might be a controversial take. I don't know if it is or not. Cam Ward. They're both the number 1 overall picks, right? Two drafts separating them. But I like a lot what I've seen from Bryce. I think the offense is on the up and up. I think there's better talent in Carolina than what there is in Tennessee. The draft isn't over. You add a guy like Luther Burden maybe in the second, or one of these other wide receivers that falls into the second potentially, and I think there's a chance that all of a sudden that starts to get a little more interesting. But I think right now it's pretty clear cut and dry that it's Bryce Young for me.
Yeah, absolutely. The additions of what's going on there, Chuba Hubbard re-signing, so they obviously believe in him. That's absolutely huge for the Panthers.
All right, who's going to plant their flag on this New Orleans Saints draft? Who do we think happens here?
Jackson Dart.
Tyler Warren.
Wow.
I think I'm just going to say Tyler Warren for the next 10 picks.
Until
I like Dart.
The Colts come up and it's correct. I'm maybe still in the minority that thinks Shadur is a better quarterback than Jackson Dart. I watched a little bit of the oh goodness, it's going to elude me here. Gruden's quarterback camp where he had Jackson Dart on, and the part where he's like, "Let me see your hard count. Let me see your whatever." And Jackson Dart clapped, and the look on Gruden's face was like, "You've got to be shitting me. For the last 3 years, all you do is clap." I don't know. It just rubbed me the wrong way, maybe. And he was like, "Okay, so what's a dummy count look like?" And he clapped twice, and Gruden's face got even more worried. When you got a guy like John Gruden who's that unsettled by something like that, maybe it's the NFL community feels the same way. I don't know. Maybe I'm in the minority, and Jackson Dart coming via the way of the SEC is more impactful than than Shadur at Colorado. But I will say this, only one of them's got their jersey retired by their former college, for what that's worth.
The Saints are going offensive tackle Calvin Banks.
Kelvin. There's no A there. All right.
Yeah, I wasn't high on Dart.
Well, who's he protecting?
I would have taken Sanders, but man, I looked more at Dart's stats, and I didn't think he'd been the starter for as long. But I hate small sample size players. Like, I need this, even in college. I like to see a long track record of success. You've got Jaden Daniels, Bo Nix, guys like that. You have 1 or 2 year wonders like Trey Lance, Zach Wilson. I didn't know Dart had started as long, and it turned the tables for me. I would take Dart over
Jackson
Sanders.
Dart not get ran out of USC by Caleb Williams, or he did, right? Bothers me a little bit. Again, obviously we know Caleb Williams is a word that used to be used a little more sparingly, but a generational talent that was thrown around a lot last year with Caleb Williams. So maybe it doesn't mean as much as I think it does. Patrick, I got a comment here for you that I'm going to put on the screen here if you want to go ahead and read that.
Dude on the left looks like a college football coach, or he golfs daily at the country club. I'd love to golf daily. I'd probably be mad as hell and have thrown all my clubs in the water by day 3. But if I look like a college football coach, maybe I look the part and I know what I'm talking about. So thank you, Ed.
Hey, listen, everybody who lives in Florida belongs to a country club, don't they? That's just like a generality that's true. Like,
not yet. I'm one day, a little young.
Okay. All right. I mean, listen, Brant and I were from Central Illinois, 40 degrees. We take the sweatshirts off. We take the coats off. We're letting our skin get some sun. 40 degrees in Florida. People forget how to drive. They lock themselves in the house.
79 degrees. You'll see sweaters and jeans.
I'm trying to figure out when my gingery butt wants to be in the sun.
Okay. I take my sweatshirt off. I take my coat off. Brant keeps it on with a layer of sunscreen even when it's overcast.
About 45 degrees, I'm out there with SPF 100 going, don't burn, don't burn, don't burn.
He just walks around with a gallon of white paint. So, Ed, I'm going to put Ed back on the screen for a minute. Ed does say McMillan is going to be so good. I think the consensus here is we're all pretty excited by that pick as well. We think Carolina definitely hit the nail on the head. Definitely again, I think it means they're investing in Bryce. Bryce is still their guy. I know there was some talk last year that maybe not, but it would appear that that's the direction they're heading.
Who's Banks? Who's Banks protecting? Like, for real? Is Taysom Hill the quarterback?
Spencer Rattler, baby.
Jake Hayner.
Ooh. Let's be honest. It's Alvin Kamara and the Wildcat all game.
All game. They're adding a QB in the second round. They must.
Yeah.
They're
trading back up.
They have to feel that one of these QBs has fallen out, or maybe they want Milrow. Maybe that's what they want. I don't know.
I'm extremely interested to see what this Bears team does here. I think
it has to be Warren. I think it has to be Warren. As much as I like Komet, I think it has to be Warren.
I don't know if I want that as a guy who likes Cole Komet. Cole Komet is still on a very friendly contract there. Cole Komet's been, I would say, serviceable. He's been a steady tight end for them. I wonder if they look at this and go, okay, outside of the best defensive tackle on the board and the best defensive player in general in, well, I guess depending on how you qualify Hunter, Abdul Carter / Hunter. What stops them from taking, in their mind, the second best defensive player in a certain position?
They passed on Warren and went to the other tight end.
Wow.
Loveland.
Wow.
Okay.
Wow. The Bears are going to bear, baby. The Bears are going to bear.
Speechless. I don't know what did anybody have Loveland outside of the Chicago Bears? Did anybody have Loveland ahead of Warren?
I was struggling when I was looking at some of these mocks. There was a lot of people struggling to get Loveland into the first round. They were, I mean, some had Seattle mocked to him, and then some didn't even have him in the first round. Like, wow.
He looked like Michael Mayer, like good, not great. I mean, Tyler Warren is like fluid. Tyler Warren, he was a quarterback. Tyler Warren throws passes. Tyler Warren is like a passing George Kittle. And I thought for sure he'd be a lock at the first tight end.
Yeah. I mean, Ben Johnson was there for Sam Laporta, who was fantastic as a rookie. Obviously came back to earth a little bit as a second-year player, but maybe Ben Johnson's onto something here. Maybe. I mean, again, he's there. I'm here. Let's give him the benefit of the doubt. Maybe he knows what he's doing. I just think it's shocking. Hey, listen, this just really opens the door for Tyler Warren to be an Indianapolis Colt, Patrick.
And you want the door to get open a little bit more? The San Francisco 49ers didn't take him either. Their pick is already in too.
Oh, wow.
Mikael Williams, edge rusher out of Georgia.
Which is not that's not a surprising pick.
No.
I don't think for San Fran. They had some losses on that defensive line this year. So I think this is a no-brainer here. I think it makes sense. I think a lot of people thought Mikael Williams was, potentially the second best defensive lineman, edge lineman in this draft.
Yeah, absolutely. The Niners love their defense, and I guess you have to get the Georgia guy before Philly comes up and gets them, because the Philadelphia Bulldogs are a real thing.
I am shocked that Mikael Williams went in front of your namesake, Brant. I thought Jalen Walker would be the first Georgia player off the board. So I am interested to see where he goes the next couple of picks. I think pairing Walker with Micah Parsons in Dallas could be insane.
I think this is your boy going to Dallas.
Who's that? You think Luther Burden goes here?
I do.
That'd be a really nice compliment to CeeDee Lamb.
Mm-hmm.
That would be great for Dak.
Yeah, I would like to see it. Or could this be our second running back? Could this be Hampton? Or
what are you talking about? Miles Sanders is going to go for 1,000 yards next year.
Let's be honest. They're going to go take the Ohio State running back because they had such great success with Elliott. So,
yep.
Listen, one thing we know for sure is at some point in this draft, if Jerry Jones says that running back there would look good on America's team, whether he's right or wrong, we know that running back's getting a ton of touches. So it's still, in my mind, it's still a juicy landing spot, even though that offensive line isn't as good as it used to be. So I'd be shocked if they pull one this early. I don't know as what's on my board, but it'd be interesting. I do want to say too that Niners pick came in so quick that I didn't have a chance really to say this, but we did get 5 skill position players taken in the first 10 picks. So I'd say we're on pace for our 14.
Yeah. I mean, I guess there is 2 tight ends going in the first for sure, because you're not going to let Warren get out of the first.
Unless there's, again, this is a thing that happens sometimes in the NFL world. The fantasy community gets so excited about a potential player, and then all of a sudden the NFL is like, I don't know where you guys saw that from. We don't love him, right? I think it'd be hard-pressed to see that happen, but until he's drafted.
We want offense. That guy sucks. We need defense. We need O-line. We need boring stuff. We need punters. We need long snappers.
Look, if a punter goes in the first round, I may have to just bid you all adieu.
Yeah, I'm done. If that happens, I'm done as well.
Now, if a kicker goes, though, that's going to be – we got to talk about that. That's fantasy relevant.
Edwards said, dude in the middle looks like the wrestler Kevin Owens. I did skip WrestleMania with back injuries to be here tonight. So, yeah, I just kept myself fresh.
Oh, man.
I can't wait till he talks about the guy on the right. Looks like he escaped from a bag of Lucky Charms.
Throw he's after me, Lucky Charms. Man, they just, I don't know if my TV's behind or what, but they just showed
my
the
TV's
Bears
way
pick.
off.
They just showed the Bears pick.
I'm way behind.
To be fair, I stick on Jordan Schultz's Twitter the entire.
That might be the one. Yeah, apparently that's the one I'm on too.
That might be better than what I thought.
I'll take that though. I'll take that one. Get her done.
You look like you could eat some tater salad. Oh, I guess that's Ron. That's Ron.
I was gonna say Ron one there, but Ron White.
Ron White. There we go. Yeah.
All right. Ron Jeremy's a different profession.
Different show.
Yeah, you're right. You're right on that one too. I cannot compare Brant to Ron Jeremy. I have no idea. Okay.
Yeah, with the weight I'm at, I barely have an idea.
Somebody pick. Somebody do something.
I have apparently gotten through all my drinks.
So again, Jordan Schultz, one of the smartest guys in the industry, in my personal opinion. They did come out and say that Colston Lovely moved up for a lot of teams in the pre-draft process. So maybe it wasn't as big of a shock to the NFL world as it was to us, I guess.
Yeah, I hadn't heard much about him moving up that high. I am going to step away for just a moment.
What I'm watching, they've officially announced the Michael Williams pick finally. So maybe we get the Dallas pick here in the next few seconds, potentially.
Give me just a moment. I'll be back.
So, Patrick, again, you're one of the head ranking guys for the FantasyHolics page. Where do you see yourself penciling in Colston Loveland in that tight end ranking spot? Is he immediately a top 10? What are
Given
your
the
thoughts?
nature of the position, and if Ben Johnson uses Loveland like Sam Laporta, I mean, he's got to be 8th at worst. I'll pull up my rankings. It starts to get kind of messy after. I mean, I'm a big Evan Ingram guy. I think Evan Ingram really has an amazing season. It gets kind of messy in the Evan Ingram, Jonnu Smith, Mark Andrews, Dalton Kincaid, because there's so many question marks. Can Jonnu Smith repeat what he did last year? Will the Bills throw to Dalton Kincaid? They really didn't utilize him like a lot of people did. Are Andrews and Kelsey toast? Can Tucker Kraft repeat? So I would put Loveland at 9, 10 at the lowest, but his ceiling might be like 7 this year. I don't think you use a draft pick on a player and don't utilize him. Like, you've got to think, I would think Loveland is pretty much a day one starter.
So
60 to 70
obviously,
targets year one.
we obviously have to wait and see where Warren goes. But now knowing that Loveland is in the spot that he's in, is it possible is he the tight end 1 now in this rookie draft?
Unless Warren goes to say the Chargers, maybe. I'd want to say the Bengals, but they seem pretty set on Mike Gesicki. Maybe he's not going to the 26th to the Texans. I would take Loveland ahead of Warren. Warren might be in for a slide because there's a lot of teams that might not, or just a really unsexy spot like Arizona. No, Arizona has McBride. That makes no sense. It needs to be soonish for Warren, or the landing spot's going to trump.
Is it Indy or bust for Warren at this point, as far as the slide goes?
Could we be seeing a slide to where could we be possibly at the end of this draft talking about Warren to the Chiefs to be Travis Kelce's successor?
If he's that far, someone's gonna trade up. If he's slipped that far,
I don't see that one.
I'm just looking, thinking. I guess Washington could use a tight end.
Your Seahawks could use a tight end.
We still have. We just moved one to fullback because we had too many.
That's a normal problem. It doesn't mean you won't add to it.
Right. I thought that. I mean, Pete Carroll likes to have 97 on his roster, so he may sell the farm, and everything that they don't have to come back in to go get him.
Have the Cowboys run out of time yet? Or is my TV just that far behind?
I don't know. I wish I could answer you. They just announced on my TV, they just announced the Niners pick.
Okay. That is a very Cowboys thing to do. Run out of time.
Boy, this is going to be my issue. I'm going to have to split screen.
Does this make us question whether or not there's a potential trade going here?
Definitely could be. They have 1:20 is what it's showing on the clock. And that very well could be a trade here. Who's their tight? They already have a tight end. It's just slipping my mind.
Jake Ferguson.
That's it.
A lot of us thought it was going to be a Ferguson season, and Schoonmaker started moving up that list a little bit at the end of the season. There's a lot of people in the fantasy industry world that think that Schoonmaker may take over that spot in the depth chart there.
The pick is in. ESPN reported it. I haven't seen a name yet.
I have not either. Alabama offensive guard Tyler Booker. So, again, starting to get a little more appealing. If there is a running back that goes there in the second, third round, offensive line is going to be pretty good again.
Miles Sanders, 1,000-yard season.
Hey, you heard it here first, folks. That's two of the
That would
three
be
of us on
something.
this screen have said it now.
No, I was just rehashing.
Oh,
what you
it's
said.
out. You
Might be
can't
a-
take it back.
said
It's
it.
out there.
Might be 100-yard season.
You can't take it back. It's out there.
Deuce Vaughn time. God. There's another interior offensive lineman off the board for us. That's right. I did say I didn't want to see a receiver go to Seattle. Tet being off the board makes me a little happier. I mean, there's still plenty out there, but
I just can't believe how long this Cowboys pick took to make. I'm excited. They're getting ready to announce it on the Bleacher Report cast. I can't wait to see Micah Parsons' reaction to an offensive guard.
that's probably why they had to call Dak and Parsons to get clearance. Did Parsons leave the screen for a little bit?
He didn't.
No.
Yeah, I'm seeing the NFL Network reaction of the Cowboys locker room like they won the Super Bowl.
That's always a
They're
reaction.
very excited.
Hey, if
That's
you
always
don't get up and jump, for Jerry Jones, you might as well get up and walk out of the room because he's firing you.
True. That is true.
Here comes Parsons' reaction. Not even a smile. He threw his hands up in the air. He says he's excited about it. I don't believe him. His reaction said otherwise.
He's running down the hall.
Miami.
Tyler Booker's going to get
Tyler
traded
Booker is
before
ecstatic.
he's going to get traded before he gets off the plane.
As long as it's to Seattle. So who's the fastest guy right now? Golden? That's Miami's pick. I think you see another line here. Offensive
Yeah,
defense.
I think this is another offensive lineman. I think you've got to invest in protecting Tua at this point. I mean, you either protect Tua or you move on from Tua, and this isn't the draft to move on. So I think you got to protect him.
You got to protect him because of backup Zach Wilson, and we don't need any more Zach Wilson.
Man. Through my phone. Wasn't that upset about the pick as much as I wanted Booker. I didn't think he'd be there. Just get somebody to protect.
I feel like this is worth showing too from Ed here. He says, as a Jets fan, no more Zach Wilson. Gross. I don't know what else you say to that. Listen, maybe Zach
He's
Wilson's
back
just
in
a
the
year.
division. He's back in the division.
He's probably just a year or two away from being good. If you look at Geno Smith and Sam Darnold, all it took was getting out of the New York Jets locker room for a year or two, and then things started getting better.
Ryan Fitzpatrick.
I mean, the list goes on.
All right, Miami. Go defense. Actually, you know what?
Patrick. Patrick, question for you here. Somebody asked in our FantasyHolics chat, is there a chance Shedeur Sanders goes to Indy?
Shedeur Sanders or Anthony Richardson?
He cannot be. I would take Shedeur Sanders.
Oh, Shedeur is
He
everything that Shedeur is everything that Anthony Richardson is not, as far as accuracy, pocket poise. However, you take away all the excitement that is Anthony Richardson. There's no scramble ability. There's no extending the play. There's no huge arm. So it'd be a give and take.
I don't want to rehash all the stats, but Anthony Richardson was bad. He was last in the league in completion percentage by 10%. His interception percentage was, I want to say, 1.5% over the fifth place quarterback. It was bad. It was unspeakably bad. So Sanders would be a step up, and sure, I'm kind of on Arch Manning watch, but I'm just an unrealistic homer, I guess.
Okay. Listen, if you guys get another Manning in Indy, just do me a favor. Don't run this one out of town.
Oh.
Take all the fun away.
Retires mid preseason.
It's been rough, and then you guys go from that and try your hand at a bunch of has-beens and Phillip Rivers and Matt Ryan.
That was bad.
Then fall in love with Anthony Richardson. I remember that draft, Pat. You were not excited when that pick came in. You were hopeful that it wasn't him, and then it was him. And
I was hearing it for weeks, and I was like, "There's no way."
I remember. I appreciate you guys taking it because I was super excited for him, and all signs pointed to Pete's little hints he used to give out and everything. All signs pointed to Seattle taking him. So I'm kind of glad you guys did.
I was listening to a Fantasy Pros podcast like 6 months before that draft, and someone said they're a pretty good show, and someone said on that show said, "You're going to think I'm insane, but I think Anthony Richardson is a top 5 or 10 pick in this draft." And everybody on the show was like, "That's the craziest thing I've ever heard." And I said, "Yeah, that is the craziest thing I've ever heard." And then my first draft with you guys, my face just melted. I'm like, that guy was right. He was right. No.
Sort of similarly to the way that my face was when we drafted Michael Penix last year. Now, granted, hindsight's 2020. It worked out. Dumb pick at the time. Dumb. Go give Kirk Cousins all that guaranteed money, and then you do that. But like I said, worked out in hindsight. But I was not happy at draft night. I held it together pretty well, but I was hurting. I love Penix now. I almost wore his jersey tonight, but I didn't. Just because you never know, I might have to order a Shedeur Sanders jersey as an Atlanta Falcons fan next year. So, I
mean, I'm more than happy with you guys having. I get to hear all about Penix because you guys have him. So I'm extremely happy that you guys took him.
Second Michigan defensive tackle off the board.
Kenneth Grant.
So this is the Colts pick, isn't it?
Colts are officially on the board.
Shedeur
on the board.
Shedeur and Indy,
I'm on the board.
Travis Hunter in Jacksonville. The NFL is going to make this happen. Oh, man, that would be must-see football.
It would be.
Shedeur to Hunter. Shedeur to Hunter. That'd be something. That would be something.
Would that make you happier than Anthony Richardson to Hunter?
It might make some IDP people a little pissed off, but
I would be happy if we just gave Jonathan Taylor 300 touches next year. I'd be fine with that.
He's only got a year or two left.
I think you're right. Let's ride him out into the sunset. Let's all the carries for Jonathan Taylor. All
the carries. Well, there's still a lot of good boring trenches picks left for Indy.
The Colts
Walter,
pick is already in. Tyler Warren to the Indianapolis Colts.
okay.
You can't hate it.
I can't. I like it. That's nice. Richardson won't be there forever. I love Warren. He was one of my favorite players overall. That's an awesome pick.
You got to be happy with it. I don't necessarily know how that translates for Anthony Richardson because he'll overthrow him by 5 or 6 yards. But very good pick from the Colts standpoint, I think.
Like Richardson can't complete a pass within 20 yards. All of his completed passes are at least 50 yards downfield. So if he could figure out that short game, could be a good PPR machine, and young quarterbacks should rely on their tight end. Not sure if this one.
I'll say this: if Anthony Richardson ever figures out how to complete those short and intermediate routes consistently, he'd be a top 5 quarterback in the National Football League for fantasy at the very least.
Right.
That deep ball, that rushing upside, it immediately just puts him into a fantastic spot. So this should help. It can't hurt. It can't hurt the immediate routes. I mean, Indy's been looking for a stud tight end. I mean, they showed him on the screen earlier in this one, Kobe Fleener, maybe the last, some highlights, some in between, but not great. But
man,
it's probably Dallas Clark. I mean, if you're being honest.
Sorry, boys.
It's Dallas Clark. Yeah,
it is.
There were some glimpses. I thought Fleener would be good. I swear they had Fleener and another tight end at the same time that was supposed to be good, but
you had those Eric Ebron. You had, there were some names of guys that you thought were going to be something. I mean, a lot of us in the fantasy community thought, what was it, Jelani Woods or whatever was going to be something. Mo Alley Cox.
That makes it drop really easy. Let me go ahead and hop on over here. So I guess the Mo Alley Cox experiment's done. I'm sorry, I know I missed some.
Every Colts tight end is a drop. Warren is there.
Yeah.
Every single one.
I will tell you, as an Atlanta Falcons fan, I'm praying for Jihad Campbell right here. I don't think that happens.
There's a ton of good defensive players available. A lot of good trenches, defense, safety, corner. Might not be a sexy pick. Might not be Michael Penix. But
hey, Penix
might not be Bijan.
Penix and Cousins got your later pick. You were at 8 last year, weren't you?
Yeah. We also lost the pick for Cousins, so
was it Pitts, Bijan, Penix, or was there a guy in between Pitts and Bijan?
Yeah, Drake London was after Pitts.
Those are some sexy drafts.
We're due for an unsexy one. I would like to go not offensive here. If we go offensive, I might puke. You don't know how hard it is to have to watch an entire football game of Atlanta Falcons football when they go on defense. Offensive is fun to watch. Defense, not so much. And I've been doing it for too many damn years at this point. I need a defensive stud. Honestly, what I really hope happens is the Falcons trade back. I hope we trade out of this pick. We acquire some other picks. I don't know if that happens. We obviously don't have our guy here the same way the Colts did because your pick took about 3 seconds before it came in. Listen, I got to bring this up too here because Ed says, try being a Jets fan. Listen, their trophy case is not empty for the Jets. It's old, but it's not empty. It's empty in Atlanta. The last Super Bowl we went to was the most embarrassing. You know how many times I have to hear 28-3 jokes? It never stops. On the 28-3 on 323. Bill Belichick, who's the damn coach of North Carolina Tar Heels, is still wearing an Atlanta Falcons. His girlfriend, who's way too damn young for him and too hot,
23.
Is wearing a damn Atlanta Falcons Super Bowl shirt. So, I mean, listen, I don't know if it gets much worse than being maybe a Cleveland Browns fan or maybe a Bills fan losing his man. But still, it's
right,
embarrassing sometimes to be a Falcons fan.
Ed, I'll raise you this. Losing sucks, man. Like having bad teams year in, year out. Having a great team that loses year in, year out. That sucks. Almost the entire Peyton Manning era wasted by Brady and Belichick. That's a different kind of pain, my man. I mean, that was, oh my God. Like, how is this 6th-round guy beating Peyton Manning? Like, Peyton Manning, Tony Dungy, this should have been a cakewalk to 3, 4, 5 rings. That's a different kind of hurt, my man. It's a different kind. Getting there and losing sucks worse than knowing you're out of it in September.
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
I will say this. I will say this though. You did get one with Peyton Manning, right?
Yes.
It did happen. I got none with Matt Ryan. I got none. Matt Ryan's the greatest Atlanta Falcon of all time. I got none.
You should have had one.
It hurts.
Should have had one.
We should have ran. We should have ran the ball.
Oh man.
We should have ran.
Pain. So much pain. We've got defeated by Brady era, 28-3, run the damn ball. Oh, so much heartache.
We were beat by Brady too, so we all get screwed by Brady. We all get screwed by Brady.
Everybody.
The only difference is you two both also got to see one during that same time frame. Okay, I haven't. It's hard out here.
That was
imagine having to tell your 4-year-old son you don't have to be a Falcons fan. Daddy won't make you do it.
He might get to see one.
You guys are from Illinois. How are you, Atlanta and Seattle?
Have you ever seen the Chicago Bears? Why would anybody want to be that?
It's fair. Mine go back to my family. My dad's side is actually 2 of my dad's family members are season ticket holders, so I was raised a Seahawks fan.
Got it.
Which it might be the year to go back out there, baby.
I mean, I could show you my reason.
Not sure where this is going.
I'm good buddies with him, and I'm a little nervous. Oh, okay.
My Jamal Anderson signed helmet. Jamal Anderson was the guy, the Dirty Bird, was the pinnacle of Atlanta Falcons football, and it's been bad ever since. After some of my comments tonight, I could understand why you guys might be a little nervous.
I'll say I'm your good buddy, and I got a little nervous. I'm like, where's he going with this? Like,
where's this going?
Is he just going to shut off his computer now? He's going on a darkness retreat.
Oh, I got to bring this up too, Brant.
What's that?
Ed, I bet you didn't think you'd be seeing the Syracuse Orangeman mascot live in person, but here he is on the screen. Just to my, what do you want to call that? My left, or my right. I don't know. I'm pointing left, but it's going right on the screen. So yeah, he's the real life Syracuse Orangeman mascot. He's as round as he is tall, and he's orange.
God, I can't believe that made its way into this.
I've been saying it for years. It's only
a matter of
time until I got it out on camera.
I had to make sure the light was starting to shade the other way, so I had to make sure you guys can see the full orange.
Were you going to have to put the sunscreen back on because the lamp was too bright?
I was.
What is going on? Why is Atlanta's pick not in? This is terrifying.
You're doing exactly what you want. Sanders.
Jalen Walker is still there, and that really should be the pick.
That's who I
Malachi
selected.
Starks, nice Georgia guy to the Georgia team.
ESPN lets you select who you think the next pick is. I picked Walker just because you guys need another Walker.
Well, we let the other one go.
Yeah, I know. You got to replace him.
They have 55 seconds left.
And then when this guy leads your team in sacks next year, you can go ahead and put my name on your back.
I would buy it. I would buy it.
40 seconds.
Then all the pick is in. Then all the jokes that we have heard before, boy, would we ever hear them.
My phone is going to break from so much refreshing the screen.
I'll be there shortly. Just to read, the Seahawks have traded their pick. That's all I'm going to read. It's fine. The Bears are going to bear, and John's going to trade away his first-round pick. There it is. Put my name on your back.
I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it.
Overall rank, 4th. It's a good pick. Good pick. Not much to talk about fantasy-wise, but that is a good pick for you guys.
Again, I wanted Jihad Campbell only because I, for weeks, told myself Jalen Walker would be long off the board by this point.
Like
I can't believe Terry Fontenot is competent enough to put that pick in. Somebody had to chloroform him, tie him up, put him in a closet. This is the first time since he's been in town we have not drafted an offensive player in the first round.
Looking at all these defensive players still on the board. Loving Seattle coming up.
Ed gives his seal of approval on the Jalen Walker pick too. It's a good pick for Atlanta. They desperately need that. I know we got Leonard Floyd, and I'm excited about Leonard Floyd, but Leonard's at that peak age. Jalen Walker. We don't draft Georgia players. That's not a thing that happens in Atlanta. I'm not a Georgia fan. I'm a Mizzou Tigers fan, as odd as that is. Being from Central Illinois, I love no teams in Illinois. A couple Missouri teams, but man, getting a Georgia player that I ride and die with my Atlanta Falcons fan base. A lot of them are obviously from Atlanta. They bitch about this front office every year, passing up talented Georgia defensive players, and they finally got one.
Where's Arizona going?
I'll be back.
Yep. What was the question, Brant? Where's Arizona go?
Yeah.
I think Arizona's got to address defense. I would think as many players are still on the board.
I know I'm over here like we're 2 picks away, and I'm like, do I want a corner? Do we want an edge? What do we want? Like, I don't know. There's not a whole lot. I mean, now if there's a lot of good names still on the board, and I don't know if I'd be upset with any of them being added to our defense. I almost hope they do trade back, but stay in the first round, gather a few assets, and still get one of these guys. I mean, you got Mike Green, you got Campbell, you got the top two only cornerbacks, not slashes. So I think Arizona has to go defense here.
Do you know how long it's been since I've seen the Atlanta Falcons draft pick graded as an A+? It's been a long time, Brent. Been a long time.
I bet. That's a good It's a good pick for you guys, though. You needed it. So at least you could say the Bears bared, but you guys did something right.
We did not Falcon this year.
Nope.
Interesting. We did not Falcon. 4 years in a row, seriously. Kyle Pitts, Drake London, Bijan Robinson, Michael Penix in the first round.
So now you guys are
defensive player.
Now you're set on the offensive side of the ball. Now it's just to build around that.
All right, Brent. So you've got, again, the Arizona Cardinals on the board now. You've got the Bengals, and then your Seahawks are on the board. Your thought is that you guys trade back.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Is there a player that if you don't trade, that's who you want?
I like Campbell. I do think a linebacker's a need of ours. I would love to put, Will Johnson or Barron to be the number 2 to Witherspoon. I would love to see that, us add another corner. Mike Green, like when he was projected to you guys early in mocks, you and me sat there and watched some film and on him, and I think he could be a good one.
Mike Green scares me a little bit because of the off the field issues. I would assume it'd be hard for a player like that to get in trouble in Seattle. I don't know what the nightlife is like in Seattle. I've never been.
Smoking the ganja.
I know there's a movie called Sleepless in Seattle, so I don't know. Maybe it's similar to the city that never sleeps. But I would assume that'd be a good spot for Mike Green.
Yeah. I want us to address defense. I'm happy the tight ends are off the board, so I'm not worried about that. Tet's off the board. I think Burden is too much like JSN. I might punch my computer if we decide to go Jackson Dart here in the first round. So I want to go defense. I just want to go defense. I like what Mike's doing. I'm trusting what he's doing. I know a lot of people are hating on everything, but I trust what he's doing. So I don't know if I'll trust it anymore if we do take a quarterback here, though.
Yeah, that would be a head scratcher. Again, I've been there, done that.
Yep.
Yeah, that quarterback way too early. It'll mess up your night. It'll mess up your whole year and a year after that. Oh boy.
I mean, we were the first 10-win team not to make the playoffs, and that hurt this year. Especially, I mean, you think about it, everyone's been saying Seattle's rebuilding for the last 3 years, but we've been knocking on the doorstep of the playoffs. We've been in, contention for a division. It hasn't been down. So I trust what the front office does. I know I'm not in the front office. I normally don't get too mad about draft picks, but we'll see what happens here. Walter Nolan off the board for defensive tackle from Ole Miss.
Wow. There's some folks that thought he was going to slide. Like slide to the second round even. That's huge.
Arizona's not the greatest there. What do we think about Arizona? Let's talk about Arizona for a minute. What do we think about what's that team going to bring? I know we got Trey McBride, Kyler Murray, James Conner's there. Who else am I missing? Marvin Harrison. So what do we think about there?
They're a mid team. The defense sucks.
If they don't make the playoffs, Kyler's gone.
Yeah, I think that's probably accurate.
I couldn't believe he wasn't gone this offseason. I know it's still, in the offseason. I thought he was gone, and I thought they were going to be in play for one of these quarterbacks here. So
offensive line's really good. They went Paris. Oh, what the heck is it? Not Paris Campbell. Paris Johnson last year.
Yep.
He was tremendous. Marvin Harrison. I mean, Marvin Harrison was missed on 3 or 4 50-yard passes, so tack on another 200 yards and 4 touchdowns. He probably has a bounce back year. Trey McBride's awesome. But they will.
McBride is awesome.
Like, how are they picking 16th?
Because
it feels like they
defense
should have been a
awful.
lot higher than that.
No, you got to remember they snuck some wins that they shouldn't have at the end of the year. They were terrible, and then all of a sudden they started going. They got some wins at the end of the year, and they just kind of snuck some wins that they shouldn't have.
Oops, wins.
Sometimes those aren't a good things when your
Right.
team's not competing.
This is the I mean, who would have thought we'd be talking about Cincy at 17 at the start of last year with what all they had, and now you're talking only a 9-win season for them. They have to go O-line, don't they?
Defense. They have to go defense.
Yeah, they were kind of a sieve defensively last year. I think,
Yeah.
honestly, I think Walter Nolan would have been a good pick for them after, some of what fell apart there. I think Will Johnson, the cornerback out of Michigan, a lot of people think he slides. I think this could be a really good spot for him as well.
It's in, just trying to see it. That means that means it's my turn to sweat here.
You were due, buddy. You were due.
On the hot seat.
Like I said, there's so much defense on the board. I don't know how we don't go that route. Like I said, you pair a corner with Witherspoon. I know it's not the sexy pick, but
Brant, he's got to be talking to you, but you have FantasyHolics gear on, so I'm confused.
What's skinny? I don't even know that word. That's a cuss word.
The FH gear, is that free hot dogs?
Glad you said free hot dogs. I'm glad you said free hot dogs because I was going with something else.
Uh-oh. Okay.
I was having the Finley mind track here.
Mine was accidental. Yours wanders.
Shamir Stewart out of Texas A&M.
Wow, that's a solid pick. Another one who really bolstered himself at the combine. Good pick.
They needed it. They needed somebody to get after their quarterback. Shit.
Jay, who are the Montreal Canadiens drafting tonight? They got any first-round picks?
Jay hates hockey.
Does he?
I'm the hockey guy.
How are you from Canada and hate hockey, Jay? I like hockey, and I'm from Central Illinois. All seriousness, though, Brant, you and I, we sing praises of Jay on our FantasyHolics Facebook,
this looks
our
phenomenal.
FantasyHolics content. Jay, none of this would be possible without you, man. So I definitely want to say thank you for making my ugly fat face a little less ugly. Still fat. Maybe if you could figure out a way for the camera to subtract some pounds, me and Brant might be onto something. But
no, then we'd have to change the name. There used to be Fatboyz Dynasty.
I'll puff my cheeks out for an hour episode.
Oh, Ed, come on. New York guy says yuck hockey. Must be a Rangers fan, too.
I told myself when Seattle got the team a couple years ago, I was going to try to get into it. I just never have. I just never have gotten into hockey. I watch it occasionally, but I just...
Seahawks are currently involved in talking trades, according to Jordan Schultz.
What a surprise!
Seahawks are going to Seahawk, baby.
Oh, John's going to John. Let me send this to my father because Dad asked me right before. He goes, what do you think we do? I go, we trade down. Like, there's no question. I said, as long as it's not Tet, just because I didn't want a receiver, I said, I don't think I'd be upset. So I had to send him that there. But like I said, all those players, all the defensive players that are still on the board, gather some assets, still add some. I'm not mad about it.
Who's trading up and for what, I wonder here, though? That's the question here. Is somebody coming up to get a quarterback?
Let's
Does
see.
Seattle move completely out of the first round and acquire second and third round picks and maybe a future first for somebody to come get a quarterback?
Maybe. I'm looking at this ticker here. So you got Tampa. They don't need a quarterback. Denver doesn't. Pittsburgh.
I doubt Pittsburgh's moving because they're in a spot right now where they're probably getting one because somebody would have to leapfrog them to make that happen. So I don't see them bidding against themselves.
No, yeah, you'd be talking the Browns
I'm
coming
talking
back in.
The Giants, one of those teams coming back in, which is something a lot of people said was possible. Does that happen here?
The Giants were huge into the Jackson Dart talk, so I could see the Giants coming up here. Originally, when the Browns were number 2, I seriously was like, could they possibly make a move to go get Sanders and pair those two? But then the trade happened, so I don't think it's the Browns coming back in.
Man, if I was a contending team, I would jump here for like another. If you're picking twice from 20 to 40 and you're already a contender and you can get 2 defensive players from the players left, that's the rich get richer. That's a power move right there.
Who's coming up to get Hampton before Denver does?
That could
Tampa Bay lost so much on defense, and there's so much there. So everyone's probably going, okay, Tampa's going defense. Denver is the on the hot seat for a running back. I mean, they did get bits
of the Commanders.
Williams. Could be.
Rumors are Commanders want a 3-down back. It's possible.
Yeah, but I thought they were in a good spot for Henderson. Well, let's see. Just because we're in talks doesn't mean we're going to do it. We will, but
it's true. It's possible.
I'll give you Anthony Richardson for this pick.
No, you guys already saved us from that once.
For your second? For anything?
No, we already have 2 running backs. I don't need to add one. They're already talking about trying to move one.
Listen. Maybe it's because it's not my plight to bear, right? I'm not out on Anthony Richardson yet. I still think there's an outside chance to turn this around. It's outside. It's not inside. It's outside. It's probably like outside city limits of Indianapolis for him to do this, but I think it's possible. And if he does, man, you're talking about a guy that's going to be a really, really, really good quarterback. So let's see.
I find it to improve in the NFL. Oh, something good happened.
I just read something funny. Jalen Walker becomes the first player from the University of Georgia that the Falcons have taken in the first or second round since 1966. I was scrolling around trying to see, okay, does anything for the trade? It sounds like
they hate homegrown talent. Hate it.
Yeah, it's worked out really well for Atlanta to avoid those guys. Meanwhile, Philadelphia thanks us every time it happens. So,
right. Well, it says our pick is in. So let's see. No trade. Seahawks are picking.
Just saw that as well. Edward agrees with me, by the way. The baseball guy says he's not out on Anthony Richardson either. So
I just don't understand how you improve in the NFL. He struggled against like Mississippi A&M. Like you don't get better if you struggled in college. How can you get better against the top 1%?
Okay, that stuff's all irrelevant, Patrick. The only thing that matters is that they had to move his pro day from inside to outside because his deep ball kept hitting the roof. That's the only thing that matters here.
Yes, that's right. And DBs and safeties just camp under that all day and let it fall into their arms.
It happens from time to time. Mississippi A&M has me dying. It got me too, Ed. It got me too.
Oh, God, they couldn't even post this on Twitter first. I have to wait to see Goodell come to the darn podium.
They're running the pick in. They're not throwing it in. They're running it in.
Mm-hmm.
North Dakota State offensive lineman Gray Zabel.
As much defense is left, I'm happy about this. We needed an interior lineman. I like this pick. I do like this. What a surprise, Seattle actually staying put. I like this. I think we could have moved back and got him. I think that's why they were looking for the trade, but I'm not mad about it.
Hey, if Sam Darnold's the guy, you got to protect him. So they're saying he's the guy. So
we got to open up running holes for whichever running back is still in Seattle after this draft.
Do we get? I know the Bucs are on the board right now. I think this is where Jihad Campbell goes. I'd be shocked if it's not. Do we get running back-to-back picks in Denver and Pittsburgh? Is that a possibility?
Pittsburgh's not passing on a quarterback. They have nobody to throw the ball. They got two receivers of the same skill set, but nobody to throw the ball to them.
Unless they know Aaron Rodgers is coming.
That is true.
Unless there's been word from Aaron Rodgers, hey, I'm coming. Maybe Aaron Rodgers is a decent guy and was like, I'm not going to take anything away from these young kids. We'll announce the day after the draft instead of the day of, right? Maybe he's had a change of heart. He's a good person now. And Pittsburgh knows that, so they draft the running back.
Maybe. I mean, maybe. I don't see how they pass. I mean, I would, but
the draft is in Green Bay. At any moment, it could be, my God, that's Aaron Rodgers music, and Aaron Rodgers storms the stage. I'm back. Like, oh God, he's back. I thought I'd have an Aaron Rodgers free season.
I was just getting ready to make a joke that Ed's still holding out hope he signs back with the Jets, but apparently not. So
I'm happy he's gone too, Ed. Very happy.
Sounds like Aaron Glenn wasn't given that much of a chance anyway, so which is probably a good thing for Aaron Glenn.
A couple new QB needy teams are trying to make calls to move back in.
Colts. Oh. Sorry, I'll stop.
You don't have to.
Where would Alec Pierce be without Anthony Richardson's one good game a year?
I mean, Joe Flacco was hitting them just as accurately.
Yeah, but you guys let your future quarterback and Joe Flacco go to Cleveland.
That's right.
We let Minshew go to the Raiders. Gardner
Walker
Minshew took that team to the playoffs. The same team that Anthony Richardson was in charge of.
Walker once been in Seattle once in his life, just so he has an excuse to put his fat thighs sticking out of the bottom of some jorts.
Yeah, buddy. Yeah, buddy. I already got the pair of jeans picked out, buddy. I've had them picked out since the day Gardner Minshew came to the league.
One day, Brant. One day.
I mean, technically he's with Pete. Is that close enough?
It's close. I think you should wear it at least once. You guys did receive an A grade on your pick, Brant, according to Bleacher Report, which they're pretty crap most of the time. So
I'm not, like I said, we needed him. I feel like we could have traded back, but apparently nobody offered enough. So we take you take the guy you need.
Hey, you said when Patrick had to step away, I asked you who you wanted. That was you didn't give me the name. You said the offensive lineman from North Dakota State, but you got your guy. That's, I mean, it's who you said you wanted, and it happened.
Okay, so did I miss something? The clock just reset on my TV.
Did they trade the pick?
Nope. I think it was just a glitch on the computer system because now it says pick is in. Or maybe I was just, oh my Lord, they went offense. Yeah.
Ibuka? You're
Ibuka.
kidding me.
So they still have
Wow.
Evans. They still have Evans, correct? You still have Godwin. Now you're adding Ibuka. You have Cade Otton, Bucky Irving. What?
Jalen McMillan, who they added last year. That's insane.
Wow. Right about, oh, wow.
Fire the cannons. Fire the cannons.
Are they going to move somebody? What are they going to do? You're not. Oh my Lord! I mean, they're going to have to put up points. They don't have a defense right now.
No, they have a good defense.
Oh my God!
No, they
They
lost.
have no Liam Cohen though. They have no Liam Cohen. So
Baker Mayfield's going to be quarterback 1 next year in fantasy
with no rushing upside.
That's insane energy to me. That Ibuka. Who had that on their bingo card? This might be the surprise of the draft to this point.
yeah.
Wow.
I mean, they're showing team needs on my screen, and nowhere on there is it anything offensive except for offensive linemen. That's insane to me.
Oh, poor Dion. They're showing Dion right now. He looks a little upset. His other son's going to get drafted first.
Wow. I'm not gonna lie. I had Buka penciled into the Packers. That was my thought for several.
It definitely wasn't the Bucks.
It was not the Bucks. I was not.
I wanted
the
to
Bucks,
see him 49ers.
The Bucks saw the Panthers take Ted McMillan, and they're like, well, "We got to do something."
All of a sudden, the Panthers are like, damn.
Are they going to go grab Smith next year coming out from Ohio State too?
Maybe. I don't. What is going on?
There has to be some movement with the receiving core there. You're not going to have all 4 of those guys.
Well, they brought back Godwin for a new deal. He didn't sign in New England because nobody wants to live in. You're not trading Tampa for New England. Mike Evans is going to retire $1. McMillan's too young to deal. Otton's too young to deal.
Ibuka's too young to deal.
It is Baker QB1. Yep.
Weird energy there.
Baker top 3 QBs. I'm going to change my rankings now.
I mean, the only thing I can think is maybe, I don't know. Maybe they were in trade talks and the team that they were talking to wanted Ibuka, and maybe they're going to finish this trade off. I don't know. I don't get it.
You know what this reminds me of is 2 short years ago, JSN to the Seahawks, when none of us had that on our radar with Tyler Lockett still being relevant, DK Metcalf coming into his own, and now look at that wide receiving room.
Yeah.
Unless Godwin's not healthy and they brought him back on a hometown deal. And I don't know. Or just Tampa loves to score.
They're just going to outscore everybody.
Score. Yes.
They're going to go the Cincinnati approach. That didn't work out.
Well, while we got a minute out of our shock here, I feel like Ed put up another thing that's worth talking about. He said he traded Baker to J.O., the father, the godfather of the FantasyHolics team at this point. Drake London in a superflex for Baker Mayfield, or got Drake London for Baker.
I'm not sure I like that right now.
Man, I'd rather own Drake London at this point than any Bucks wide receiver with as tainted as that room is going to be. But the upside for Baker just may be next level.
But like for the Bucks as a whole, it kind of drops they can only have so many targets and possessions and carries, and It's got to lower Bucky a little, Evans, everybody a little bit. A little.
Yeah.
I would think. Is this the year that we finally take the under in Mike Evans receiving yards at 1,000 yards?
999.
I do. I think I don't know. I don't know. That's crazy. All this defense on the board, and you add to a position that's not of need.
They're just going to let
Schultz tweet, Brent. Giants trying to get back into the first.
Yeah, the Giants. Yeah, I did see that one.
That has to be for a quarterback.
That is.
Makes sense.
Yeah. This is got to
They're
be
going to let a contender step back into the first round and get one of these defensive players. Like Philly's going to trade up or get a second, first.
There's no Georgia guys. There's no Georgia guys with first round grades, is there?
I don't know. There's what's that safety from Georgia? He's Malachi or what? Malachi Starks. Yeah, he's got a first round grade.
Yeah. Man,
PFF has Starks 8th overall. He's still there.
I like Starks. I do.
PFF has Starks 8th, Mike Green 10th, Jahdae Barron 11th, Jihad Campbell 13th, Will Johnson 14th. There's like top 15 talent left. And we're getting into the teams that are already contenders. They're rich, get rich.
Yeah. Because you are now
make it make sense. I feel like the pick 20, pick 21, and pick 22 all have a chance
to be
offense, skill position even. I could see a weapon being added to the Chargers. However, is that Mike Green's landing spot to replace Bosa?
It could be, and the Chargers could be one of the best targets to move down to out of the first round for the Giants to come back in.
With as much talent as left on the board on our defensive side of the ball, if I want a defense, I'm trying to trade back at this point. If I'm a GM and I'm saying, hey, defense is where I want to attack in this draft, and you're sitting in this 20 to 25 range, I'm trading out of that pick as quick as somebody will give me an offer for it. There's too much premium talent left on the board at that position to stay stagnant and just take whoever's there.
Going over here real fast. All right, we got 2 seconds and 2/3. Let's start moving back up, boys. Let's just move to the top of the second round. Trade both those seconds, move up to the top of the second. Barron going to the Broncos.
Yep. Wow. Hampton slide is officially on.
If he gets past Pittsburgh, I guess the Chargers could use a running back. No, they added Najee, and they still have Vidal. Yeah. The Chiefs are going to get the fastest guy in the draft again.
No way Matthew Golden's a Chief. There's no chance. No chance.
I think he's a Bill.
All right, I'm going to leave you boys to it for a second. I'm going to take my turn to get up and stretch for a minute. I'll be back. I feel like I'm becoming one with this chair.
Wow, I can't believe the Broncos passing on the running back here. I know all the talent's there, but that's just mind-boggling to me.
Yeah, Peyton kept saying he needs his joker. He needs his crafty. I thought for sure he'd go offense. Their running game is putrid.
But with everything here and all of them left on the board, and only Genty, maybe he feels he can get him in the second.
Yeah.
Pittsburgh has to go running back.
Running back or quarterback, they're
Yeah.
tough spot.
I mean, honestly, I think Finley might have been right that if they go anywhere besides quarterback, maybe Rodgers is signing.
Or they're going to write it out with Mason Rudolph or Will Howard or something.
I don't know.
Sanders is still available. Dart's there's still a lot of it. It doesn't feel sexy. It doesn't feel like a long-term plan, but better than Mason Rudolph.
That is true. That is true. Man. All freaking skills.
So we haven't just announced Shedeur Sanders yet, or
That's what we were just talking about. If they go anywhere besides quarterback, I think you might have been right that Rodgers is going to come on stage later tonight at Green Bay and announce he's signing with the Steelers.
I heard you, boys. I kept the headset on.
Oh, okay.
I didn't want to miss any conversation.
Mine doesn't reach that far.
Well, it depends on how far you get up.
Yeah, that's true. That is true. The brownie's calling my name. I'm surprised my kids haven't ran in here. They were excited to help make them too. It was really weird. They wanted to do stuff.
Not tonight.
I will say, for having 5 teenage girls, it's pretty quiet in this house. I'm really freaking scared.
They're watching the draft too.
Getting back to the draft for just a second, is the Broncos adding the best corner, arguably the best corner in this draft, with already arguably one of the best corners in the National Football League of Pat Surtain? Is this unfair at this point?
No, it's smart. You think about the division they're in. You got the Chargers hanging points. You got the Chiefs hanging points. And then you got the Raiders.
Steelers defensive tackle out of Oregon, Derek Harmon.
Way. Oh my Lord! The Steelers are going to Steeler. We're just going to add to our defense.
Wow, that's a Mike Tomlin pick if I've ever seen one. Wow.
They're probably planning on winning a lot of games 13-7, I guess.
They got
how are they getting 13 points?
George Pickens to DK Metcalf, and then DK Metcalf to George Pickens.
You're talking.
Yeah, my math's wrong. 15-10. 5 field goals.
Yeah, I was gonna say you're talking. You're talking an awful lot of field goals for them with Chris Boswell is what you're talking.
You're saying you're going to complete one deep pass to either Pickens or Metcalf each drive. That's it.
Who's competing it or completing it?
I don't know.
Mason Rudolph,
Chris Boswell.
Then you got to start adding
Derek. Maybe Derek Harmon throws the ball. I don't know. I would still say this does mean Aaron Rodgers is a Steeler at this point.
I do too.
What else makes sense?
not taking one here, and obviously you can have Rodgers and still take a quarterback. But if you're not taking one here, you're telling your fans you got a plan in place. But I'm just telling you guys, if you went back and read my Kenny Pickett report, his strengths and weaknesses lined up with Shador's strengths. They took one ride on that roller coaster in this portion of the draft. I don't know that they're going to do that again. What a monster moment this is in the 2025 draft. We're not understating it.
So 21 picks in.
With the
We have gotten 7 skill players, 1 trade. We've hit our 2 tight ends on the head. We are ways away from everything else. We've had 1 quarterback, 1 running back, 3 wide receivers.
Yeah.
There's some work to be done from a fantasy standpoint, fellas.
Tomorrow's going to be fun.
I would think tomorrow's going to be running back heavy. I almost feel like it has to be. My favorite running back in this class, Brant and I are copacetic on this, or at least we were last time we talked running backs, is Caleb Johnson. And if he ends up in Denver or Pittsburgh, either one, it would be very hard-pressed for him not to be a top 3, top 4 pick for me.
Yeah, I mean, they're in Pittsburgh as well. I mean, wow. Still scratching my head over the last 2 picks, or I guess 2 out of 3.
I know.
I mean, this is just what happens when you have something penciled in for as long as we have. It's mind-boggling because we're all sitting here going, this is ridiculous. They needed offense. And Mike Tomlin's going, I make the playoffs every year, guys.
Yeah.
Like, give me some credit, you know? And Derek Harmon does feel like a Pittsburgh Steelers-esque player. He's hard-nosed, but which you don't really think about coming from the University of Oregon necessarily. But
Right.
I think he fits that. I think he fits that mold, but it's certainly not what we all expected here. And again, we're not that far off from that draft I was talking about with quarterbacks, where Kenny Pickett was the only one. We're not that far off from that at this point. You know, there's all this talk of Shadur's top 3, top 10. Dart makes it into the first, and it's like, where's the opportunity at now? I mean, Green Bay surely doesn't take one. The Chargers obviously don't. I'd be shocked if Minnesota did with J.J. McCarthy. I mean, obviously they moved on from Darnold in favor of him. So, I mean, you're running out of spots unless somebody trades back in here.
Yeah. I don't know if we see another one.
No.
Well, we'd have to see a trade probably, honestly.
Yeah.
And Pittsburgh's trusting it. Oh. Chargers could go running back. Washington's still there.
I just want to say, too, I think this draft has been one of the wildest drafts I think I've seen in recent years, as far as players sliding that we didn't expect to. The Jacksonville Jaguars weren't even on my radar for Travis Hunter. You know, so there's been some picks that were like, yep, that's going to happen. Genty to the Raiders, Cam Ward to the Titans, but the rest of it feels like it's been very not exactly as we thought it would be.
Yeah, definitely. It definitely has been really mixed. I'd like to look back at some of these mocks and see if anybody was even close, because there definitely is a lot.
There was probably nobody close.
I can't imagine many people had Travis Hunter going to the Jaguars. I
Yeah,
can't.
no. Everybody hit the nail. Almost everybody hit the nail on the head. It's him going number 2, just not that team. Thank you.
Uh-oh, it's brownie time. You can see the jowls getting slobbery.
I tell everybody when I talk about our live that I'm going to eat on camera.
Does Brant eating a brownie live on screen mean that the Cleveland Browns trade back into the first?
Brownies.
Right here. They're about to trade with the Chargers. I'm not looking at my phone, so if it's happening, I have no idea.
I think my TV and phone have finally caught up. I think I'm somewhat caught up.
Well, let's hope the Chargers catch up soon because I'm ready to see something else come off the board here.
Yeah, absolutely.
You're
Trade.
ready for another brownie to be put in front of you. You be quiet over there.
No. Gotta
Listen,
limit myself, man.
When I got up to stretch, I went outside, took a couple breaths of fresh air, and I came back in and had a handful of baked Cheetos before I walked back to the screen. So
I already taken my first break, so I couldn't take my second one to go get a brownie. I'm going to need a drink here in a minute. There would be milk with this, but I wouldn't finish this draft.
no, you wouldn't. I know what that means.
I did a pretty good job being Betty Crocker today.
None of us want to see you in an apron.
Actually, the one I have outside for my grill in the summer is phenomenal. It says some words that we can't say on this PG show.
Well, I tell you what, we have another unscripted pick happen here where we expect it to go one way and it goes the complete opposite. All bets are off. We're about to see Anthony Richardson get traded and the Colts jump in for Shadur, and we're going to see Patrick use words that we've never even heard at our young age, Brant.
Well, the Chargers are 14 seconds away from forfeiting their pick.
Man.
Brant's making me hungry.
You're
welcome. You saying Brant's making you hungry is making Brant hungry. So we gotta stop that.
Nope, pick is in. Nope, somebody's doing the dishes.
I'm still saying I feel like it's a Mike Green pick. I feel like that's the spot for Mike Green.
It would be phenomenal. That'd be a great pick.
We got to replace Bosa. Najee's fine for a year or two. I guess he's a stopgap. Harbaugh will find a way.
Oh yeah,
Luther Burden would be pretty sexy here as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but they have who was running the slot last year?
All they have is Ladd, really.
Yeah, Ladd.
You knock it off. The disrespect to the wide receiver one in Los Angeles is outrageous.
I asked who's running the slot. Did I say wide receiver one?
Patrick said all they had was Ladd McConkey.
Okay. Well, attack me now.
Quentin Johnston is phenomenal. He just hasn't figured out how to use his hands yet. When he does, it's over for the rest of the league.
You just can't. I mean, if you don't have hands now, you're never going to have hands.
He's got them. Right now, he just thinks they're for decoration.
Right.
Harbaugh's working on it. He's working on it.
He makes Nelson Aguilar look like Larry Fitzgerald.
Well, I don't know if anybody's ever said anything quite like that before, Patrick. We can't say it hasn't been said now. That's bold.
That's a sentence no one thought they'd hear tonight.
It's a good thing Larry Fitzgerald's not watching this
You
podcast right now because he'd be concerned.
You do know there's
It's
a
like-
corner from Michigan still on the board.
You're right. There is. How is this pick not in there? They had like 40 seconds left 3 minutes ago.
I don't know. Because Roger Goodell fell over or something. I don't know.
Here he comes.
Oh my God. Hampton is to the Chargers. Whoa. How are you going to sign Najee in free agency and then draft Najee in the draft?
They didn't think he'd fall this far. They thought for sure Hampton would go to Denver.
Is this a panic pick?
Somebody.
Is this a panic pick?
I don't love it.
I kind of like it. If Najee is just Najee, it could be sexy-ish.
I don't.
Could be PG-13. You know.
That's wow.
I would have preferred Denver though for him, or Dallas.
I don't.
Or
This
Washington.
committee written all over it.
Yeah, that's not a good. I don't like that. Listen, you've got Najee, who's already not a great pass catching running back, and then you literally draft a guy who's not a great pass catching back. I don't know.
Yeah,
So in dynasty drafts, obviously this doesn't kill Hampton's value long term because Najee's on a 1-year deal, but it's not great for year one production for Hampton.
he's definitely not a draft it and forget it. Wow, this is absolutely crazy because they signed Najee, they drafted Vidal last year.
Yeah,
I looked at it with the time running down. Was it a panic pick? Were they sitting there taking all sorts of calls and never got anything they loved? So they just plugged in Hampton? Like they just took the guy that was on their board? Like they probably could have traded down and still got Hampton if you look at who's left. I guess Houston's going to be looking for a running back shortly.
That's my brain's blown back. Yeah.
Well, boys, we still have 10 picks left. 10 picks, and the last 10 have just been mind-boggling.
The home team Packers are up.
Which so that means this pick's going to take some extra time.
This could be Aaron Rodgers is going to announce it, right?
That would be fitting for Aaron. I mean,
we draft this person. Oh, by the way, I signed with the Steelers. Wow. God, they just jammed in there.
No bathroom breaks there. You just got to go. You just got to go.
Just do it. Be like Nike and just do it.
Just where you're standing. Yep. Let it rip. Eagles and Packers are discussing a trade here, apparently. No way the Packers move back in Green Bay, right?
As long as they stay in the first.
Yeah,
Devonta Smith for this pick. Who says no?
the Eagles.
I
It's a little
would
too
think.
rich, I think. That's a little too rich.
You know, hold on. You might be onto something because you remember there was rumors of A.J. Brown possibly being on the move early this offseason.
We'll see. I don't know.
AG is not getting any younger.
No,
They
they would
can't
have to
move.
throw. They would have to throw in more, but that would fit the bill that Green Bay.
They trade for this pick for Devonta, and then the Eagles get Luther Burden.
Yeah, that could.
Matthew Golden's still there, but the way that the Packers just completely ignored Jaden Reed all of a sudden, Christian Watson's hurt, Romeo Dubes isn't good. The Packers theoretically have no receivers. There's a world where the Packers have no receivers at all.
I don't even think you listed my favorite Packers wide receiver, and that's Dontavian Wicks, who I think has the best ability to get open. He also just forgets how to catch the football at times. But if you watch Dontavian Wicks' film around the red zone, he's a problem if he ever figures out how to catch the ball. Which, you shouldn't have to say that about the wide receiver position.
Right.
Here, I've said it twice in the last 5 minutes, I guess.
Quentin Johnson light.
Yeah, something like that.
That'd be a big splash in Green Bay if they got A.J. Brown or Devonta Smith. That would be huge in Green Bay right now.
Mm-hmm.
Some handshakes. There's some high-fiving, some fist bumps, some
Packers are making the pick.
Packers are picking.
Matthew Golden. It's got to be Matthew Golden.
Everybody and their mom wants to move it. No, it's not Golden.
No.
I don't like Golden, but it wouldn't shock me.
That doesn't seem like a Packers pick.
No, it
seem
doesn't.
like a Packers guy.
It's not a meat and potatoes, sauerkraut kind of guy.
Cheese.
Cheese.
Matthew Golden.
Wow. Good call. Good call.
I promise I didn't see it ahead of time. I promise.
Oh my God. The guy has one good game in college and is fast. That is not what is Green Bay doing?
He did rise up the boards really
This crowd's
quick.
about to go nuts because they're all going to think this is a great pick, and I just don't see it. I don't see it. Wow. Okay. All right.
The last half of this draft is gone anywhere except for the way I thought it might.
Yep.
This oh my Lord. Wow. And the good news is at least we know he won't get arrested in Kansas City. Right? I mean, we've got that going for us at this point. Well,
You can get arrested.
he should not get arrested in Kansas City, I should say. Not that he won't. I guess anything's possible. There's nothing to do in Green Bay. Maybe
It's not that far.
City, but
Not that far.
yeah.
You just drive down there.
Wow.
Kind of feels like a new Randall Cobb, if there is such a thing. Randall Cobb maybe more slot than speedster.
Yeah, I mean, I don't. That's not
you're
a traditional Packers pick, I wouldn't think.
Like Jaden Reed looked awesome for a while, and then they just completely went away from him. And I don't know what happened there.
do not love that pick for Green Bay. I really don't. I think they needed to go wide receiver. I can't say that was the one I thought they'd go. Jordan Schultz is on Twitter just trying to will a trade here. He's got the Vikings saying they've been the most open team of any to trade down. They only have 4 picks in the draft. Makes too much sense. I think the problem is we don't have any teams that are wanting to trade back into the first. Everybody's saying, why would I do that? My guy's making it to the second round. And right now I can't say they're wrong.
No, not at all. I'm sorry. Sorry I had to step away. That phone call was more important than I thought it would be. Glad I answered it. Where'd my phone?
All right, so as it sits, we're at our wide receivers for the first round when we said 4. Still 2 running backs away, still 3 quarterbacks away from that potential 4.
Quarterback's not happening.
Yeah, I don't
Unless
think
there's
so
a
either.
lot of trades.
There'd have to be an awful lot. Could the Vikings potentially be a Trayvon Henderson landing spot with an aging Aaron?
No, it's defense. They love Brian Flores. Just wants every defensive player he can. There's so much left on the board. Starks is still available, to the best of my knowledge. Mike Green, Jihad Campbell, Will John. There's a lot of defense.
It's in.
Harrison Smith's older. I think it's defense.
Man, I'm looking at these 2 safeties on the board. I want Seattle to trade back in so bad.
Yeah, there's too much defense for Brian Flores to pass on. They just took a quarterback. Don't need receiver at all. Don't really need tight end. Aaron Jones is fine. They have Jordan Mason, who might still have a decent amount left in the tank. It's got to be defense.
Yeah.
Or O-line.
I don't know if it'd be O-line. Defense makes sense. I guess Simmons is still there.
Listen, nothing that's made sense in the last hour has happened, so we don't know.
Yeah. I don't know. All this stuff being crazy is making me worry that we might not be able to add a wide receiver worth a darn in the second round because they might all end up going going higher than they should have.
There's still plenty of wide receivers. It's a deep wide receiver class too. Still deep.
Oh, what time? It's on at 7 again tomorrow too, isn't it?
I think it starts at 6 or an hour earlier on day 2, I thought.
I hope. Yes, it starts at 6. Man. Draft a quarterback. Just mind boggle the entire world and draft a quarterback. Then put out a tweet, go, this is our plan the entire time.
Okay, here's what really happens. They trade pick 24 to the Atlanta Falcons straight up for Kirk Cousins, so Kirk can mentor JJ, and everybody wins.
Yeah, it makes
Everybody
sense.
wins.
The question is, who eats the packet or who eats the money?
Well, the Vikings, obviously, they're getting the player. I mean, he's a stud. Can't give him away.
That's what I was looking at.
I feel like we've gotten to a spot where some of these trades or some of these picks are taking way longer than they should at this point. And it's because they're fielding offers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Or they're just shocked that some of these players are still left. A lot of the defensive guys.
I thought this was going to be a defensive heavy draft. I wasn't expecting it to.
We're currently 5 skill position players away from hitting the 14 that we projected. I would say we get over the 4 wide receivers. I would be shocked if another one doesn't sneak in there someplace.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe another running back, but then I get worried after that. So we'll see. Who's the biggest fantasy winner so far from tonight in your mind,
question.
Patrick? Uh-oh.
Giants are coming
Giants
up.
are on the board.
Here's your quarterback. Bye-bye, Jackson Dart.
All right. Anyway, Patrick, so far, obviously, this pick, depending, could change some things. Who's your fantasy winner to this point? Whether it be
Oh, man.
because the offensive line is gotten better or whatever the case may be.
So Jackson goes to the Vikings. So the Giants are trading with Houston?
What?
The Vikings drafted offensive linemen.
Yeah. Wow. Okay.
So, there it is. They traded with Houston. New York's coming up. They traded with Houston.
Okay.
So this will be Jackson Dart. I was really confused because I was like, I just read they traded. What the?
Yeah, I was a little confused there as well.
I like Hunter. Hunter there's so many targets available. If he gets the IDB points, I mean, I'm kind of joking, but kind of serious. He's in a division with Cam Ward and Anthony Richardson. Depending on how many snaps he gets on both sides of the ball, I like Hunter and the Raiders stink. I mean, it's a great landing spot for Genty. If Genty went to the Browns had a shot and didn't, I probably would. Genty on the Browns would have been my pick, but Travis Hunter's my winner so far.
Okay. Brant, your thoughts on who the winner is?
I think it's Hunter, but it's also Tet. I like Tet. I like where he went. I like what the offense is doing on in Carolina. We're not going to declare them to the moon yet, but I'm going to go with Tet there.
I was honestly going to say that I thought Bryce Young was the big winner there. Maybe Baker Mayfield as well. And then I think the big loser is pretty obvious. At least I feel like it is. It's Najee / Hampton, at least for year one. Immediate production. I feel like those guys both take a 50-50 share. I don't know how much I love that for either of them.
Yeah. Jackson Dart to the Giants.
Wow.
I like this. I like this. I don't know what that room's going to look like. Day one. It's that first Sunday. Is Russ going to start? Is Russ there to mentor? What's Winston's role?
Did they?
There's no way they go into the season with 3 quarterbacks in the roster, right? I'd be shocked.
They had to have thought they would get a quarterback, but then went and spent millions on 2 veterans. you can't healthy scratch a guy you're paying millions. So are you already cutting a guy in camp? Is there guaranteed money? This is a mess. Isn't it?
Jameis Winston's the starting quarterback for the New Orleans Saints is what happens at this point. He returns. He's their starter for a year.
Pittsburgh might be in play for one of these guys. Let me fix this camera here. Apparently my fat butt moved too fast.
They already had Russ.
Yeah, they had Russ and told Russ he could leave, and they didn't. I mean,
Jameis has bounced around a lot.
I could see that reunion because there was talks of them wanting to keep Russ, but Russ was out, and I could see that reunion. They wouldn't have anybody that wants one of these quarterbacks outside of Dart wouldn't have to give up much.
Or can you scratch Dart and leave him inactive as a rookie? That doesn't sound helpful or productive.
It kind of defeats the purpose of taking him in the first round, I would think. You're losing that year of eligibility or that year of a rookie contract, I guess, not eligibility. It's not college.
Feels like a Giants pick. Feels like a.
I mean, it's in my mind, it's a great pick, but it's a head scratcher with them spending the millions in free agency for those two.
I'm not a Jackson Dart believer at all, so I'm going to have to try to get myself, especially with him being the second quarterback off the board, playing in a lot of Superflex leagues. I feel like I'm going to have to start doing a little more research. Maybe I missed something. I don't like Jackson Dart at all.
A week ago, I didn't. He grew on me. He had a longer track record than I thought. He's got Malik Neighbors to bail him out. At the minimum, Malik Neighbors to bail him out. Wandale was better than I thought. It's not sexy. It's a plug your nose and pray, and then he'll end up QB 11, and you're like, oh my, on the week, like, oh my God, okay.
The Falcons are trading back into round one per sources.
Oh my God. Why do I have to sweat twice in one night?
Come on, don't act like you haven't been sweating all night. We're fat. We always sweat.
Oh my God. What are we doing? We're supposed to try to acquire more picks, not.
Why are you trading? Don't be trading with the Rams. Don't give the Rams more picks. They do phenomenal with their third, fourth, fifth round picks.
What are we doing? Maybe Kyle Pitts is involved. That'd be all right.
I don't want to see Kyle Pitts twice a year again with the Rams. I don't know who you're trading with, but this is trade 3, right? If you guys trade, it would be trade 3.
I mean, if we do.
Why do you get a trade back in? I've been sitting here going, look at these safeties.
We don't have any picks.
We do.
You're not going to have anything next year. You're not going to have anything in 27.
Well, we're super close to winning a Super Bowl, clearly. So, Patrick talked about all these contenders trading back in, and here we are.
Just left the door open for the Eagles or the Bills or the Ravens or to get more NFL ready talent, more defense.
Excuse me. This is. I'm over here.
Atlanta traded their first next year to the Rams. That's what Rich Eisen said. The Falcons traded their first next year for the Rams pick.
Why would we do that?
They really want someone.
It has Jihad Campbell, please, or Will Johnson, and I'm cool with it. Anything else other than that, I'm.
So
we're the team. We're the team that's like, oh crap, the second quarterback came off the board. We better get back in to get one.
We're the Colts are the team that, like, wow, did you see that one throw that guy made once? Let's spend the 4th overall pick on him.
What are we doing?
You're really sweating this one now. That last pick, you guys had so much on the board, it wasn't too much of a sweat. This one is.
I wasn't expecting to hate this so much tonight. What are we doing? I gotta get happy from our first pick, and they gotta destroy me somehow. So here it comes.
But now that your division has Tet, Egbuka, Evans, like the Panthers and Bucks are all in. They've forced your hand, and yep.
You're gonna get your guy, bud. I'm gonna pray for you. You're gonna get your guy right here. You're gonna get the one you thought you were gonna get earlier. You're gonna get him late. I'm wondering if you guys tried to trade up into the second round and couldn't get anything done, and so you had to come back up now.
For a first next year? I imagine they could have gotten a second for a first next year.
Yeah, I don't think you guys probably wanted to spend that much. You guys probably weren't willing to pay that much for the second.
Oh, the pick is in for the Falcons. The pick is
Come on,
in.
Jihad Campbell, Will Johnson. Jihad Campbell, Will Johnson. Come on. Nothing stupid.
Gotta be defense now.
Come on. I'm tilting right now.
Oh, I bet.
This is probably Mike Green. Oh, I didn't even think. It's probably Mike Green.
Mike Green's solid. Mike Green's the pick. Thought they were showing the.
Yeah, but if he has off-field issues, Atlanta is not the place to go.
So Atlanta gets 26th and 101. Oh, they're giving up. Oh, they're giving up their second this year, 46th, their 7th, 242, and their first next year.
And we get the 101.
Yeah,
that's not that bad.
Good, not great.
Oh, good. You had to wait till Goodell came out to sweat it too, just like I did. Yours is just more of a sweat.
Come on, Will Johnson. Jihad Campbell. Come on. Not Shedeur. Not Shedeur.
I'm looking at it. James Pierce Jr., Tennessee.
Okay, I don't like that as much easier. He's got off the field issues, but it's not Mike Green.
So you gave up your second too? Is that what the whole trade was?
Second, 7th, and a first.
Oh, here
next
it is.
year.
2nd, 7th, 1st for a 3rd and a 26. Cool.
I like Pierce.
How are you more upset than I am?
Because the Rams got another first next year.
But they didn't use one this year. That first next year could be the number 1 overall.
Have you not noticed what the Rams do? They didn't have a first for like 6 years in a row, and yet they won a Super Bowl somehow and have been in contention.
I like Pierce. He's a solid player.
I didn't want him at 15. I don't hate it at here, especially not to pair with Walker. I think that could be really exciting.
You might hate it in turn for your first next year, though.
I don't know because you got 5 years of these two now. Both coming off the edge. You might not be. That might work.
Well, they're saying, hey, listen, if we get to the quarterback fast enough, these other teams can't throw to Ted McMillan or
The 17 wide
Emeka
receivers.
Buka, yeah. Insane. So that's 3 trades now. Brant's 1 away.
Oh man, the Saints are going to be so bad. Facing those defenses in that division, James Pierce. Oh my God.
Somebody in the FantasyHolics chat said the Browns are going to get Sanders at the 201.
Dion's not going to allow that.
Thanks a lot, Jordan. I didn't need to see that. Reaction by one source to Falcons trading up for a future first back in. WTF. Stupid.
Way to go, Falcons.
Falcons going to Falcon, baby.
I was praising you guys. I didn't think you would. I'm over here wanting to trade back in to get a safety to put back there. And
oh, my God.
Hey, maybe we'll be the 4th trade. Let's go. We don't trade up.
Doesn't it feel like Deion Sanders' son should have been drafted a long time ago? Like, isn't Deion
Like Bronny James?
60? Yeah, like shouldn't this have happened a long time ago? Deion's 55 to 60. I don't know. It feels like it's a little late in life for his son to just be drafted now.
Well, he hasn't been drafted yet.
Years ago.
He hasn't been drafted yet.
Touche.
Still waiting. Still waiting. Do a little.
I said the Ravens about to take another wide receiver. What did the Ravens need?
O-line. I think that's about it.
They don't need any of these defensive players that are on the board.
No, they definitely don't.
Terry Fontenot just couldn't handle the Falcons not being the laughing stock of the league. Just couldn't handle it. I would trade Terry Fontenot straight up. Actually, I'd trade Terry Fontenot and that 3rd round pick we got for Anthony Richardson right now just to get Terry Fontenot the hell out of town. I hate him that much.
I get Richardson the hell out of town.
This man had me happy for an hour just to come back and say, not so fast, my friend.
Henderson to the Commanders.
Ooh.
That's what I'm going to think. So I don't think we see. I think Detroit goes defense because they had so many injuries last year. I think they go defense. Baltimore, I don't know what Baltimore's going to do.
Pick is in.
I keep saying it. Eventually, it's going to happen. Baltimore could be a Mike Green spot.
They just find a way to keep getting stud defensive players.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Mike Green's going to wind up in Philly. Let's be honest.
Philly's going to get a stud. They always do. Teams reach for a trendy pick or a panic pick, and a good player falls, and then
these smart teams that stand
smart
pat, don't panic, react, get guys that should never have been on the board.
Yep,
happens every year.
Every year.
I think back to, and it wasn't a first round pick, but that Nakobe Dean draft where everybody said he was too small and he slid, and look how impactful he's been for Philly.
Safety Starks.
Coaching's big too.
He's not going to Philly.
Starks paired with Kyle Hamilton's kind of crazy work, though.
He's not going to Philly. That was the number one safety too, wasn't it?
I would have been happy with him Indy at 14.
Yeah, I wouldn't have cried if he would have went to Atlanta at 15 either. I think most people thought it was between him and that Nick Amori out of South Carolina.
Yeah. He's solid.
Mm-hmm. All right, so we got 5 picks left. There's still a chance for one more trade. We're sitting at 10 skill players right now by my count, so we've still got some work to do in that regard.
Yeah, we may only see 12. Washington and Buffalo, I think, might be the last 2 to go skill players, unless we get a trade. I don't think Detroit does. Wow. This is nuts.
This is why these teams are so good year in and year out, though, is because they make picks just like this. They don't trade up. They don't reach. They get a guy like this that should have been probably a top 15 pick, and they get him at 27.
Players fall every year. Bad teams panic. Bad teams trade up. Bad teams mortgage the future. There's still good players. Like if I was an NFL GM, these picks like 20 to 40, no one ever seems to want them, and you can get the players that fall at a cheaper rate. If they're a second round pick, you don't owe them as much. I would trade for multiple 33 to 40 picks every year.
The biggest what's crazy is this literally happened with Kyle Hamilton just 2 years ago. He was arguably a top 5 player in that draft, and he fell into the late 20s for the Ravens.
Yep. Yeah, because I remember sitting here that year going, "Come on to Seattle, come to Seattle." Same thing I'm doing with these 2 safeties right now. I'm sitting here, "Come to Seattle, but we won't move up."
Hey, if you have to pay the price Atlanta paid to move up, you probably shouldn't, because I wish we wouldn't have.
Well, you can always get one back next year, but it hurts in the moment.
If Atlanta gets 40 sacks as a team next year, I'll be okay with it. I mean, If we're not one of the lowest two teams in sack totals again next year, like we have been for the last 15 years, I probably get a little more okay with it.
The issue now
Although on
is
the
pressure.
other end of the coin, if we don't get those sacks and we fire Terry Fontenot, I'm okay with that too. So,
the other pressure is really on you guys because you trade away your first. So if it's in the top 15, you look terrible.
mm-hmm.
So it's almost playoffs or bust for Fontenot.
It probably should be anyway prior to making that trade. It's like our good buddy from work who's also a Falcons fan, so he's also slow like I am, texted me and said they don't care about trading that first next year. They shouldn't be in town to see it anyway. So that's fair.
We'll give you our 27 first too.
Why not? There's still players on the board I like. James Pierce wasn't one of them. Mike Green's still out there. Maybe we trade in and get a third edge rusher. We don't play a defensive tackle. We play 4 down edge rushers that aren't on the edge.
I say Washington goes running back, but Dan Quinn is their coach.
Defense. Knee biter.
Players. Detroit's definitely going with the defense.
The pick is in.
Defensive tackle, Williams out of Ohio State. Tylick.
I don't know if he had a first round grade on him either, did he? I don't think he did.
Think so. I've been looking and he definitely wasn't in the top. Oh, let's see.
No, man, way down there.
They had his overall grade as 59 on ESPN. 8th best defensive tackle.
So almost a third round pick.
Mm-hmm.
Listen, when you've been as good as the Lions have been for the last 2 years and you have as many pieces as they have, this is a luxury pick.
Mm-hmm.
It's a Ohio State guy into
Michigan.
Michigan.
Interesting. Yeah.
It's Derek.
The way Campbell goes with his team, it's he's done his research. He knows he's going to go out there and bite some kneecaps. So he's probably rated number 1 kneecap biter, though.
But this isn't an Aaron Glenn defense. What is that whole both sides of the ball are going to be completely different.
That is true.
But it's still the Dan Campbell heartbeat.
Dan Campbell is probably in there biting kneecaps to draft this guy.
Is it at all possible that the Kansas City Chiefs go Travion Henderson?
Stop. Don't give the Chiefs a weapon. It is.
I'm just looking at it. It's like Pacheco, 7th round pick. He's got injury concerns now at this point.
Hunt's 97 years old.
They did get Elijah Mitchell.
Kareem Hunt still surprisingly has been effective.
Well, he didn't have to play a whole year.
Couple
years. He had a little extra tread on his tires.
He tried to bite some kneecaps.
He did. I think Henderson's going right here. Is Buffalo going to get Burden?
Sure. Surely not.
They kind of need him now.
They do. I agree.
They have Shakir and Coleman. which is all well and good. They traded for Amari Cooper, barely used him, and let him go. Mac Hollins is gone. Curtis Samuel is Curtis Samuel. They had Dalton Kincaid, barely threw to him. But Burden feels like a slot guy that they already have.
The other team that, I mean, you talk about Kansas City going Henderson. What if they go Burden? What if they go and pick it up?
Surely not with Rashee Rice there, not with Xavier Ward. Those guys all are too similar, I think. If you were talking Luther Burden at 6'5", I think maybe that opens the door for a Kansas City run, like staying in that area. But I just don't like it for the purposes of the talent that's already there.
I think
Mahomes only throws for 3,700 yards a year anymore. He's not 5,000 yards, 50 touchdown Patty. He's
True. He's game manager now. He's a game manager.
I think they go defense. I think the Commanders are taking your running back. Buffalo's kind of a wild card because they could use some defense, but they could also use that other skill maker or skill player.
And you've got Philly to round it out. I think Philly has to go offensive line here, don't they?
Yeah.
When it gets to their pick. I mean,
they lost a lot of defense. They lost a lot of everything.
But they still have a lot of really young talent on defense too.
Mm-hmm.
I could see cornerback potentially making sense for them, or
they trade it, and like the Steelers come back in to get Milrow or something.
Steelers come back in to get Sanders.
Sanders is out of the first round at this. I mean, it's
unless somebody's trading back in, which means he's the number one pick tomorrow would be my guess.
What team's trading in? The Cleveland Browns aren't going to bet against themselves. It'd have to be New Orleans, and I don't see New Orleans doing that either.
New Orleans or Pittsburgh.
Pittsburgh could potentially be a maybe.
Commanders are happy. Some clapping, some hugs. Who'd you take?
Josh Conley Jr., offensive tackle.
Okay. So is it possible we're done with skill players at this point?
Very possible. Buffalo's the only one that I could see. But I feel like they could add an offensive lineman to try to keep Josh from having to scramble so much and do everything by himself to give him a little more time. I mean, you're talking about teams. I mean, all three teams were, right there on the cusp of making the Super Bowl. I mean, two of them did, obviously, but there's no glaring needs.
I do have to imagine these three picks are going to take some time because these are teams that don't really have glaring needs, so they're probably shopping the crap out of these picks if I had to imagine.
Oh, yeah.
If Washington doesn't take a back, I like that pick an awful lot for Brian Robinson and Austin Eckler.
Absolutely. That's what I was just thinking too.
Also, it's really weird to me when we're talking about an offensive tackle from the University of Oregon as the one of the top rated offensive tackles in the Big Ten. Still doesn't feel right to me.
No, not at all. Not at all. Not at all. It was like watching Washington have to play Indiana and all them. It just makes no sense. That's all right. I'm waiting for the day they play in Illinois. As long as I ain't got nothing going on, I'm going. We were going to go to that Indiana game because tickets were $15. Oh, please don't add a running back.
Surely not. They got their guy in James Cook.
Oh, yeah.
They took Ray Davis earlier than I thought. And then Cook didn't report and hold and he'll sign. It might be Burden.
Burden would be crazy to the Bills. What would if Burden does go here? Again, it's a hypothetical at this point. If Burden does go here, where does he end up on your fantasy big board?
I mean, you've got it. Man,
he has to be in front of it in front of a Ibuka, right? At this point, because
absolutely. You're talking a bunch of second-round wide receivers.
Patrick's saying no.
Oh, wow. This was a contentious debate amongst FantasyHolics when Amari Cooper was traded to the Bills. They're like, to the moon. And I'm like, Josh Allen isn't throwing a whole lot. Josh Allen runs and runs, and Josh Allen runs for 15 touchdowns a year, and James Cook runs for 15 touchdowns a year. Baker Mayfield doesn't run. Baker Mayfield wants to throw and throw and throw and throw.
Josh Allen's got to settle down at some point, though, doesn't he?
Yep. It's close, but I would take Ibuka over Burden in Buffalo. It's close.
Okay.
Okay. In my mind, I'm looking at it as there might be some second-round wide receivers that I'm going to be taking over Ibuka because you're not putting four wideouts
on the field at the same time. He has to beat out at least two of them.
Even if you do, I mean, when
only one's catching the ball.
When you talk about the Buccaneers, you're talking Cade Otton, Mike Evans, Chris Godwin. You're talking, my brain is shot at this point at 3.5 hours in.
McMillan.
Not McMillan. They're running back that came on out of nowhere last year. My goodness, the Oregon Duck.
Bucky
Irving,
thank you. That's going to catch passes out of the backfield. So, yeah, I mean, and it is still Baker Mayfield we're talking about. So, I don't know. I'm not saying I don't like Ibuka. I really do like Ibuka. I'm not saying that he's not clearly a cut above Jalen McMillan, at least in my mind. And I'm not saying he's not a cut above at this point what you still have in Chris Godwin. But it feels like it still at this point feels like a really strange pick.
I'm kind of bummed on the Ibuka. I really wanted him in San Fran,
Green Bay.
Dallas.
That was my spot for him.
Yeah.
And honestly, again, I'm probably in the vast minority on this. I'm not in on Matthew Golden. He doesn't do a whole lot for me, honestly. So I don't love him in Green Bay either.
I'm not a fan. I mean, I moved him up. I'm not a huge fan of him. Eagles are moving up one spot.
Wow.
With the Chiefs.
Hey, Brant, you've hit it at this point.
So what could the Chiefs want that Philly wanted?
Yeah, why would Philly do that? I don't know.
Oh, no, I'm really curious to see who they pick now.
Offensive line. It's how the Eagles beat them in the Super Bowl. Didn't they rush Mahomes like 1 billion times? Oh, what was
Maxwell Harrison, the cornerback out of Kentucky. I don't even know if I know anything about him. I know he's a Buffalo Bill.
Indeed he is, Brand. Indeed he is.
That's all I got. That's all I got. Trying to find
crazy draft here. Again, this has been in my mind the most unpredictable NFL draft we've had in some time.
So
someone in our FantasyHolics mocks, I think it was Lucas, had Maxwell in the first round.
No, he ran a 4.2840.
Oh,
He was ranked by ESPN. He was 18th overall ranked, 4th position. He tied the Kentucky record for most career pick sixes. Okay. What are we taking here, Philly? What are we doing, Philly?
Eagles gave up the 164 to move up one spot.
wow.
So what did you want to prioritize over the Chiefs?
Defense. They lost Brandon Graham. They lost Josh Sweat.
Hey, maybe this is the Mike Green pick.
It's Mike Green. It's Mike Green. It's Will John. No, they don't. No, they don't need Will John. They can't.
How
There's
is
not even
Jihad
room
Campbell still on the board?
Howie Roseman, because that's why. Howie Roseman.
They don't need a linebacker. They got too many of them now.
No. Iziriku from Boston College is still available. There's like
He's a
three
freaking stud,
amazing.
too. These teams had there's no way they're like, hey, we're going to see you in the Super Bowl again this year. Hey, this is who we're picking. Come trade up if you want him. There's no why. I don't understand the logic here.
Just trying to one up each other.
I mean, it was like the Chiefs or the Bills trading back and back and back and back. What was it last year to get Coleman? They let the Chiefs jump them, who just beat the brakes off them, and then I guess they didn't really beat the brakes, but you know what I mean. They let the Chiefs jump them, and then they let somebody else jump them. That Eagles are selecting Campbell.
No way. Good pick for them. I'm shook he lasted that long. Shook.
I mean, with the way he plays and the way he, it makes sense for them to get over to Kansas City because you'd rather him be on your team than have to play against him in the Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm. That's a hell of a pick for the Eagles. That's a typical Eagles pick. Jihad Campbell's going to be a stud there.
Didn't have to give up much. So that was what, a 3rd round pick? Fifth round. They gave up a 5th round to move up one spot. Not even a 3rd.
There's a lot of other GMs looking at their phone like, damn it, I would have done that. But they didn't.
Yeah, what the Falcons give up to move up? Yeah, okay.
What the Falcons? That's a WTF.
All right, Kansas City, round it out for us.
Luther Burden.
No way. As much as I love Luther, I hope so for his sake, but no way.
A Mizzou guy to the Chiefs.
It worked out well last time they did it. Nick Bolton's been a stud for him.
He was. He has been.
No, yeah, they don't.
I tell you what, I'll be taking some hits on some Rashee Rice shares that I've been holding a long time.
He has that ACL tear and the legal issues pending. Maybe.
Henderson might be. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's whatever Patrick wants.
Since we're a fantasy football show, offense would be nice, but probably not. There's too many good players.
I'd like to see Trayvon Henderson to round it out. Because right now we sit at 2 quarterbacks, 2 running backs, 4 wide receivers, 2 tight ends.
Philly's going to take Sanders. Or Kansas City's going to take Sanders.
To say that would be crazy work for the Eagles to do it after they just took John Campbell.
That's because they're still on the TV with Pick is in.
Right. Yeah, right.
Yeah,
I feel like Will Johnson's probably who Kansas City goes, honestly.
Kansas City has a blueprint to beat the Eagles. They
Josh
just
Simmons.
saw last Super Bowl, like, how'd you beat us? Let's improve there, and it's got to be defense.
Josh Simmons, offensive tackle. Could be to Philly or to hang it. Fix my TV. Go to Kansas City already, so I quit messing up.
I just want to say this too while we got a second here waiting for the pick. If you've joined in and watched this at all, thanks for coming in and hanging out with us and watching us mumble for the last 4 hours. This is a fun tradition we've been doing for going on 4 years now. Patrick's been with us for the last 3. Definitely it's exciting to get on here and just talk football, talk fantasy impacts as the drafts happen, and just live react. I mean, you got to watch 2 of the 3 of us be on tilt tonight. Patrick's team wasn't on the clock long enough for him to really get on full tilt, but it's definitely been a fun evening. So to you 2 gentlemen, thanks for coming on and hanging out with me. I appreciate both of you.
Yeah,
thanks for having me.
Yeah, I appreciate everyone that's joined us. It's been fun. It always was, or it always has been fun to do this. It's long. We mumble a little bit here, but it's always fun to do it.
My first appearance, 4 picks in, I was full tilt. I was mad as hell. I was like, and then I was foolishly hopeful for Marvin Harrison Jr. as a Colts fan. Didn't happen, so now I get to cross my fingers for Arch Manning in a few years. Probably not. It's not going to happen, but
Chiefs are staying at 32 and expecting offensive line help. So this would be Josh Simmons would be my guess, offensive tackle from Ohio State. Sorry, I started reading more. I need to quit doing that. I can't do 2 things at once. It's getting late.
To be fair, you couldn't do that when it was early either. So
That's true. That's true.
man, on my TV, they're showing Jihad Campbell highlights right now. It just really grinds my gears.
Yeah, what could have been?
What should have been?
So who's the biggest loser from a non-rookie? Who's the biggest incumbent? Like, oh crap,
Najee Harris.
Najee Harris.
What about the Bucs receivers? Bumping them down any?
I would say it's only natural. You're going to have to.
I'm not going to. I'm bumping them. I'm bumping them down a little bit. I'm not bumping them down like I would be with Najee. I thought
I still think Najee's got a chance to be a top 30 back, a top 35 back. He's going to be fantasy relevant. I mean, we're going to have to wait and see what the role looks like. I don't know if you see Godwin and Evans both still top 30 wide receivers, but again, they're aging anyway. So I just think the expectation from when Najee signed with the Chargers to this very second when they drafted Hampton in the first round, it's like, wait a minute, we were talking Najee maybe a top 10 back this year and getting, used and abused, volumes king. All of a sudden it's like, well, now wait a minute, these guys are super similar. What's going on here? I think Xavier Legette takes a small bump too. You're drafted in the first round last year to be the guy. He didn't really, I mean, he had some glimpses of whatever, but then they come out at 8, they make McMillan their guy. So I think that's a small bump to Xavier Legette.
Yeah, that definitely could be.
Chiefs are picking Ohio State offensive lineman Josh Simmons. How many Ohio State guys did we get in this first round? There's been a lot.
Feels like a lot.
Give me a second and let's see.
So while Brant's counting that up, which it could take us
You only
hours.
had 4. You only have 4.
Okay. Only 4, huh? That feels light.
No, Ibuka was the first one.
Really? So anyway, I guess Brant's done counting now, so I don't have to wait for that. We got 10 skill position guys. So we all kind of thought maybe somewhere in the 14 area. That didn't happen. We did get 4 trades. Brant said 4, so we got the trades in this year. It took us a little longer than we expected after the early one, but definitely was a more memorable draft than I can remember from recent years. Just a lot of guys falling there's guys slide every year. I brought up Nakobe Dean earlier, but there's some talent coming out. I mean, you're talking Mike Green, who was anywhere from a top 10 pick to out. Shadur Sanders is a top 3 pick to out. We've got Travion Henderson, Will Johnson, that Nick Emory out of South Carolina. There's a ton of talent out. Wow. It's going to make for a really exciting day 2. And I will say this: tune into the FantasyHolics Facebook page because it's going to be there. Twitter, Facebook, those guys will be on it. Brant and I, we're too fat to do this 2 days in a row. We're going to take like a day or 2 off here to catch up and ingest some calories for what we've lost tonight.
I unfortunately will be watching the most of the second and third round off of my phone tomorrow.
There's a lot of good, 33 to 50. A lot of good players left.
All right. I can't stop yawning, so I'm going to end it with this. I do have to teach for a few hours tomorrow, so I don't want to stay up too much later than I have to. Does Shadur Sanders go at the first pick in the second round of the Cleveland Browns?
No.
I think somebody makes a trade with Cleveland either late tonight or early tomorrow, and they're not even clicking. And I do think it will be Sanders, but I don't think it's Cleveland.
Okay, I think if he goes, it's got to be to Cleveland. Otherwise, he may tumble for a while if it doesn't happen.
You may be talking about who was that? Not Love. Rogers, the Rogers tumble, where he was supposed to be. He was supposed to be top. He got picked
in the late first round.
Yeah,
it's
Will Levis.
He's Malik Willis.
He is.
There you go.
Malik fell a long way though, but you're right. Malik Willis, it was he's a top 10 guy. Somebody's going to snatch him up and be lucky, and he just kept falling. And then the second round went. Yeah, you're absolutely right. Again, thank you, boys, for being on here with me. Thank you, FantasyHolics Nation, for tuning in. Thank you to Jay for helping, put some of this together. Patrick, thank you for getting on here and being the skinny guy, as you were so elegantly called by Ed earlier. The yin to the fat yang, if you will.
Absolutely.
I think that about does it for us on the FantasyHolics tonight. Appreciate
Absolutely.
it. Thanks for tuning in.
Yep. It was a good night. Stay hungry.
Stay fat, my friends.